gotta cool down, 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 cool down. I gotta cool down, 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 cool down. I'm too hot for this, I gotta cool down. I'm too hot for this, I gotta cool down. I'm too hot for this, I gotta cool down. I'm too hot for this, I gotta cool down. Pass me the fan, I gotta cool down. Hold on a minute, let me fix my crown. We the best here, yeah, there's no doubt. Wanna know how I do it? Let me break it down. Keep it moving to the top. Push it, never stop. Make it fun, make it pop. Hustle till you drop. Keep it moving to the top. Push it, never stop. Make it fun, make it pop. Hustle till you drop. I gotta cool down, cool down, cool down, cool down, cool down, cool down. I gotta cool down, 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 cool down. I'm too hot for this, I gotta cool down. I'm too hot for this, I gotta cool down. I'm too hot for this, I gotta cool down. I'm too hot for this, I gotta cool down. We gon' dance all day, we gon' dance all night. Let your body go, move it side to side. We gon' dance all day, we gon' dance all night. All we need is here and now. We say hi, we say hey. Throw your hands up everyone, yeah we here to have some fun. We say hi, we say hey. Time to party everyone, and it's only just begun. Hey yeah 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 yeah, hey yeah yeah yeah, hey yeah 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 yeah, hey yeah yeah yeah. When I'm with you, feels like time has stopped. I realize quickly all I need I've already got, and there is no one who can tell me otherwise. I know we're living our best lives. We gon' dance all day, we gon' dance all night. Let your body go, move it side to side. We gon' dance all day, we gon' dance all night. All we need is here and now. We say hi, we say hey. Throw your hands up everyone, yeah we here to have some fun. We say hi, we say hey. Time to party everyone, and it's only just begun. Hey yeah 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 yeah, hey yeah yeah yeah, hey yeah 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 yeah, hey yeah yeah yeah, hey yeah 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 yeah, hey yeah yeah yeah, hey yeah 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 yeah, hey yeah yeah yeah, hey yeah 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 yeah, hey yeah 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 yeah, hey yeah 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 yeah. We gon' dance all day, we gon' dance all night. Let your body go, move it side to side. We gon' dance all day, we gon' dance all night. All we need is here and now. We say hi, we say hey. Throw your hands up everyone, yeah we here to have some fun. We say hi, we say hey. Time to party everyone, and it's only just begun. Hey yeah 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 yeah, hey yeah yeah yeah, hey yeah 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 yeah yeah
y'all better add your respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is to throw. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone, throw it off of my brain and I'm back to the bone.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back, to the KDL. I am State. Joined with me is Peter, and today marks the first day of the Kart Rider Drift League regular season. How you doing, Peter?
I am doing fantastic today because, like you said, today is such an important moment in the history of KDL, and I can't wait to get into the action.
Yeah, I mean, we had a little bit of a sneak peek building up to this moment over the course of the year with KDL Preseason 1 and Preseason 2. Of course, Liiv Sandbox and KWANGDONG FREECS continuously battling head-to-head. But now, finally, we're here. It's the regular season. The stakes have never been higher. We have new players. We have new teams. We have a new patch. We have a new rule set. We have new maps. And I got to say, man, it's going to be a thrilling way to close out the year here for KDL.
Just as you put it, we have so many new things that we are essentially playing the best version of Kart Rider there is right now. So it's going to be exciting to see how the players have adjusted to these new teams and patches.
Yeah, let's take a look at the overview for what this season is going to shape up as we have a lot of Kart Rider left to be played, of course. Today, main stage beginning now, October 7th, all the way through December 9th, about 2 months of KDL action, and the postseason kicking off about 6 weeks from now.
Yeah, and it's really exciting that we now have a wild card in our postseason where the 5th place from the main stage will actually get to go against the 4th place, so I'm really looking forward to this new format.
Yeah, and notably, it's going to be every Wednesday and Saturday, 6 p.m., no longer Saturday and Sunday, so 2 days a week, 2 matches a week as opposed to the 3 we had before, and that's going to elongate the season a little bit. But it should be so much fun. I mean, there's so much to look forward to, whether it be rising stars on these new teams, the new and improved game mode that we have with the most recent patch, all the new content that's been delivered, and of course, Peter, prize pool. It's a lot bigger here in the regular season.
You have to motivate our pro players, right? And there's no better way than to hand them 100 million Korean won, which is equivalent to about 100K or 90K US dollars, and of course, a bit less for the following places. The new thing for us is the Fan Race MVP.
Yeah, Fan Race MVP. So at the end of every single team match over the course of this season, there's going to be a fan vote to choose the best player, the MVP from the winning team. And at the end of the season, we're going to tally up all those votes, figure out who had the most MVPs, and they're going to get another extra $500 dues in their pocket, about 500,000 Korean won, just for being the fan favorite there and delivering clutch performances for their team.
I really love that we have the MVP system now, because even if your team doesn't necessarily win, if you as a player stand out, I feel like that says a lot for you.
Yeah, and of course the pro teams coming into this one, these teams did not have to qualify there. The best of the best is the KWANGDONG FREECS Liiv Sandbox. No surprise there. Seongnam ROX also with a tremendous preseason. And Mirai and Sejong, a new team coming into the fray, a little bit of a combination of a variety of amateur teams that we had in KDL preseason 2.
Amateur teams, but now turned into a pro team, and it's no surprise because their roster is super stacked. And of course, we have to mention our new amateur teams here that made it through the preliminaries. We have Team Always, Nutmite, FNL Esports, and Desperado.
Yeah, so not only do we have new teams, but also the rosters on these teams has been shaken up quite a bit. As we'll get a little bit more into detail on that as we finally get to see these teams face off. But it's always good to have new life coming into a game, whether it be new players, whether it be new teams, new formations of clubs like we're seeing right now. And with some of the rule changes that we have here for KDL regular season 1, the action is going to be very fun.
We love seeing all these new things coming into KDL, and I can't believe that we're already here getting ready for our first day.
Yeah, I think we got a video ready for you guys, so let's kick off KDL right. Oh, tracklist, excuse me. Let's go to the tracklist. I got a little bit ahead of myself. I'm very excited here.
Yeah, you wanted to come already.
I was ready for that video, man, but we're into the tracklist here for Team Speed. We got some new maps to feature for you guys. Of course, WKC delivering some good content as always. We're going to have Mexico Touring Rally. Shanghai Circuit's been added. Village Handy Harbor, another new map entering the pro scene here, as well as some classics like Glacier Extreme Stadium, Terracotta Twister.
Yeah, and there's also one new track for World Tour, which is going to be Miami Drive, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it because I personally have never been to Miami.
You've never been to Miami?
Yeah.
I think I've been close to Miami, but not quite there. But I gotta say, it's a lot of fun when we see tracks like this that just feature all these different parts of the world, all these different biomes, these different cultures. It's so much fun to race on these tracks. And of course, Peter, don't get afraid if you're watching at home, but it is spooky season. It's already October here. We have some spooky maps for you too there in Team Item mode. Graveyard Dark Castle, Cemetery Circuit, really taking the top of this list for me.
And what you have to keep in mind is that now we have 6 tracks for each difficulty. Second, 2-level difficulty and 3-level difficulties are separated because the new items are now applied only to 3 difficulty maps and higher.
Yeah, with a new patch that came out for the new season, we have 3 new maps, or 3 new items, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. But as you said, they're only going to be featured in the 3 difficulty star maps. So that veto system, when you're playing these team matches, when you're going through item mode, your picks and your bans, you might want to play a little bit differently. You might have to configure your strategy a little bit to try and choose which meta serves you best. Do you want to play with the new items? Do you want to ban the 2-star tracks to get as many 3 stars as you can? How do you want to play it? It's pretty complicated, man. A lot more strategy.
And not only that, in the patch notes, of course, we've come over here now to the official season of KDL where we have heroic cart bodies now, and of course that means you have 22 gears to optimize your stats differently. And another big change is that booster gauges. Previously, when you collided into a wall, you lost the gauge you were building up, but now it's maintained.
Yeah, so not only are we getting more gears, which make these cars faster, but also collisions are going to be less impactful for boost gauge. So you thought KDL Preseason 1 and Preseason 2 was quick. Let's wait and see what these pros can do with 22 gears. There's a lot of players already running with builds such as 7690, and I mean, the speed on that is incredible. Of course, the new items, as we mentioned, Big Banana, that thing is massive. It'll spin you out if you touch it. Siren, you activate this thing, you collide with another car, they are getting spun out, as well as a scanner, which kind of removes the fog of war from item mode, which was really kind of a conundrum for a lot of these teams because you didn't know exactly the setup that your opponents had in item mode in KDL Preseason 1 and Preseason 2, whether they're going for a wombo combo or they have a lot of thunderbolts. You never knew what they were bringing to the table, but now if you get a scanner on those 3-star tracks, you can kind of lift the hood a little bit and see what your opposing team is operating with.
For sure, in these pro matches, scanners are going to play a big role, but for me personally, I really love the concept of Siren, how you can just be obnoxious and crash into people, so I really want to see that utilized today.
Yeah, limited time, you crash into your opposing vehicles, they are going to spin out, they're going to lose a lot of momentum, and especially with 22 gears, item mode itself is going to be moving a lot faster than we're used to as well. Keep in mind, that's a lot more gears suspended at points like speed and acceleration. Maybe we'll see something more akin to what Banana was doing in KDL Preseason 2 as well, just really piling on the boost gauge. I think 22 gears coming up from 14 is going to allow a lot more freedom in terms of creativity with these builds coming in.
Yeah, I absolutely love how you can customize so many things in Kart Rider Drift now. And with item mode, as you were mentioning, it's going to be interesting already to see such strong teams like Guangdong Freaks and Liiv Sandbox, what their take is on this new meta. Do they want to play with the 3 new items, or do they want to just get rid of it?
Yeah, we noticed before from KDL Preseason 1 to KDL Preseason 2 what kind of shakeup can happen with item mode just getting rebalanced and getting re-kitted. And so it's going to be kind of the same thing here in the regular season, as we should also note the maximum roster size for these teams has expanded from 5 to 6. Now, we still do have some teams like the Guangdong Freaks who are running 4-man rosters, but now for some of these 6-man teams, you can start throwing in your coach into the fray too. You know, maybe someone's having a bad day or the coach has a special strategy that he's whipped up on an item mode. You can bring him to the table as well.
Yeah, we have Team Always and Finale being featured because those two are the teams that are currently making use of that 6-man roster. And if we see these teams catapult to great success in the early season, this might be an important strategy to watch out for.
I mean, we've always really appreciated the depth of having a dedicated item ace and a dedicated speed ace, similar to Liiv Sandbox. As we're going to take a look at the matchups for today. You know, speaking of Liiv Sandbox, we got somebody kicking off the debut performance here. It's going to be a rematch of the KDL Preseason 1 and Preseason 2 finals. Kwangdong Freaks versus Liiv Sandbox. 70% of fans at home taking Kwangdong Freaks there in the favor, but man, what a great way to start off the first regular season of KDL.
That is definitely the highlight of today, but of course, ROX Esports and Finale is another interesting matchup that we can't forget, because you got to keep in mind that Finale is kind of like the ex-ROX Esports, because a lot of the roster from the previous season of ROX has now reformed in Finale, and you can see the fan votes there. Seongnam ROX a bit more favored, and then of course we have a solo match to round things off.
Yeah, solo match right there with a lot of heavy hitters, and a lot of players, or a lot of fans I should say online, are calling this kind of the Liiv Sandbox Civil War, as we have a ton of different players coming in from Liiv Sandbox ready to compete. Or you got NEAL, you got Daldda, you got just everybody here. JiMin, who got top 8 in, I think, both KDL preseasons and solo match. All these guys going head-to-head, battling it out, as it should be a really fun one. We got pros, we got rookies coming in, and I think that's really going to be the story here in regular season 1 of the KDL, is these storylines getting created with new faces entering the stage, new teams as well. What storylines are they going to build? Are we going to have a rookie come in and Royal Road the first ever KDL? Is NEAL going to do it? Because let me tell you, those preseasons, they do not go into the record books, but this one certainly is.
It is absolutely the most important solo match we've had so far in KDL of 2023. And you have to keep in mind that previously in Preseason 2, we've had Looning actually become the champion of the solo match, which is almost unheard of, because you would expect a player who's already decorated with so many solo match trophies to win it. But Looning came out of nowhere and shocked us all.
Yeah, so I mean, we might have some upsets here in the regular season, but of course, you know, the stakes, they are higher, and when the stakes get higher, the pressure does as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we had a lot of these pros show up, like NEAL, who got very close both preseasons to being one of those solo match champions, to actually come through here in the end and wear that crown. I mean, let's not forget that he's a global Royal Roader, and he is a Kartrider League Royal Roader. This guy is one of the GOATs, and to have him being showcased in the solo match in the first day of regular season, plus Liiv Sandbox versus the Kwangdong Freaks, it's going to be so much fun.
It is absolutely a banger of a way to start our first day, and we even saw the fans especially excited to see NEAL play today, because the fans predicted, about 70% or more of the fans think NEAL is for sure going to be the one to make it out of the solo match today.
I mean, I absolutely believe it. Of course, with the new rule set, top 3 advancing from that round of 32 into the round of 16, and then 4th and 5th place falling into the redemption match. Even if NEAL isn't completely on his game, I think the worst case scenario you can imagine for a player of his caliber is to go to the redemption match, right? I don't think we're going to see anyone really top-heavy getting eliminated straight away, but who knows? Stranger things have happened.
And you have to wonder about some of the builds. I feel like coming in from Preseason 1 to Preseason 2, there were a lot of adjustments. I feel like in the first season, there was a lot more risk-taking involved, but in Preseason 2, it was more about just focusing on being consistent. But now we're in the official season, and you have to wonder, do we get like a middle ground between that, or what's the answer that our pro players have found?
Yeah, you know, if the meta didn't quite develop, we wouldn't have been able to realize exactly what's coming, but with a new patch, it's going to be pretty crazy. And I think, Peter, finally, I believe we have that video ready for you guys. So let's kick off KDL.
저는 일단 프리시즌 1 우승하고 뽕이 차올랐었어요.
아, 우리 진짜 잘한다.
원작에서는 광동팀이 우승을 한 번도 못한 팀이었는데 이번에 드리프트로 넘어가고 나서 우승을 두 번 연속하는 거 보고 대단하다고 느꼈어요.
상대가 더 잘해서 우승을 한 거고 배운다는 마음으로 하고 있었기 때문에 아쉬운 건 당연하지만 그래도 잘 받아들였던 것 같아요.
다른 팀이 약했던 게 아닌가. 왜 도대체 샌박이 광동을 못 이기나.
프리시즌 우승했다고 벌 주는 것도 아니고 그걸 우승으로 쳐줘도 되나요? 아닌 것 같은데 좀.
제발 우승 한 번이라도 하고 말해줬으면 좋겠습니다.
노전 선수랑 같이 해결한 경기 다 쳤어요. 근데 지난 시즌까지예요. 네, 이번 시즌부터 이길 거예요.
그때도 그렇게 말했겠지. 프리시즌 2 때는 달라졌을 거라고. 정규 시즌 때도 똑같지 않을까? 나한테 지는 거는.
정현아, 광고 픽하지 마세요. 그날 제가 컨디션 안 좋아요. 상대는 가장 강한 선수 나왔어요. 하지만 다행이에요. 이겼어요.
이제 준 플레이오프에서 이제 센세이션과의 경기를 제가 1대1 할 때 제일 긴장을 했을 때가 그때였어요.
저한테는 안 좋은 기억입니다. 니네 다 해먹어라.
허준이 형 사랑해요.
난 고스트 주행이 되게 좋아가지고 저 선수 잘하겠다라고 생각을 했는데
제가 느끼기에는 인수 선수랑 좀 비슷하다고 많이 느껴가지고 열심히 하겠다는 생각만 가지면 더 성장할 수 있을 거라고 생각하고 있습니다.
운으로 이겼다고 생각하시는 분들도 좀 있을 것 같고 한데 월드 선수는 이제 실력으로 이겼다는 걸 알고 계실 것 같아서 좀 준비 많이 하셔야 될 것 같아요.
미래 세조는 진짜 잘한 팀이에요. 스피드 실력이 진짜 잘해요.
호준이 형 하나의 이제 아우라 때문에 그냥 좀 잘해 보인다?
그 센세이션이랑 아우라에서 잘했던 선수들이 뭉친 거니까.
센세이션이 뭐예요? 센세이션은 뭐 맨날 탈락하는 팀이고 일단 미래 세조 같은 경우에는 일단 또 프로 팀이니까 센세이션은 이제 모든 분들이 기억에서 잊어버리는 게 좋지 않나.
저는 얼웨이즈 팀의 무우입니다.
저는 너트나이트에서 08년생 최연소를 맡고 있는 막내 김의지 밀이라고 합니다.
얼웨이즈 팀 소속으로 나오게 된 다이아몬드 하서진이라고 합니다.
타이틀 촬영이라고 했었는데 그 중학생 분들이 견학을 왔길래 이게 누구지? 했는데 그 선수들이래요.
한 명 선수는 14살?
아마추어 팀들이 락스 정도는 이길 수 있지 않을까? 아마 팀이 4팀이 아니라 5팀이거든요. 네. 좀 그런가?
샌드박스나 프릭스나 그런 팀들은 이제 계속 원작 때부터 합을 맞춰왔으니까
연방할 때 약간 좀 게임이 비슷하게 흘러가기도 했고 한락스 팀까지는 저희가 이겨볼 만한 것 같아요.
얼굴은 모르는데 다이아몬드? 근데 아무리 예선이라도 그렇게 연승을 한다는 거는
다이아몬드가
올레이즈걸?
올웨이즈
아마도?
칭찬 같아서 기분이 좋기도 하고 앞으로 본선에서 노준현 선수보다 잘하는 모습 보이도록 노력하겠습니다.
저도 아직 많이 어려서 조언을 해주기 좀 그런데 본선을 뚫으셨으니까 저희랑 함께 재밌는 경기를 만들어 봅시다. 뭐 저희한테는 희소식이죠. 막년에 좀 그 암흑골머리로 이름을 좀 날렸기 때문에 스크림 하는 과정에서도 돌렸다 하면은 막 3명 돌렸어, 2명 돌렸어, 다 돌렸어 막 이런 콜이 많이 나오거든요.
무조건 사이렌 들고 있는 선수한테 당해야 되는 상황이라서 오히려 조금 아이템전은 사이렌이 변수가 정말 많이 작용이 되고 더 힘들어진 것 같아요.
붙어가는 그림보다는 이제 끊기는 그림이 더 많이 나올 것 같아서 순위 위주로 플레이를 해야 할 것 같습니다.
솔직히 사이렌 돌리는 거는 뭐 자신 있죠. 원작 생각나게 해줄게.
또 원작이 아니잖아요. 저도 좀 활용을 잘 해가지고 딱히 그 경계를 하고 있지는 않습니다.
가드 선수가 사이렌을 그렇게 잘 돌린다는데 제가 한번 당해보겠습니다. 열심히 하세요.
내 최용훈 사이렌은 다르다는 거 보여줄게.
빨간색 자막 딱 나오면 쓰죠.
제 주행할 때 벽에 박는 일이 별로 없어가지고 생각을 안 해봤긴 했는데 어떻게 생각해요?
팀전 상관없는데 게임전에서 진짜 가장 큰 배치예요. 첫 번째 턴에서 마지막 턴까지 다 짚을 사람이 다 많이 있어요.
벽에 잔실수를 하는 선수들은 좀 더 이득을 본 것 같아요. 물론 저 포함이고요.
저는 어차피 프리시즌 2 때처럼 1등으로만 계속 달릴 거기 때문에 뒤에 사람들이 어떻든 별로 상관없는 것 같아요.
좀 더 라인을 공격적으로 봐도 리스크가 크게 생기지 않아서 제가 개인전이든 팀전이든 다 짚고 날려버릴 거니까 조심하세요.
막는 것도 중요한데 그래도 아직은 달리는 게 더 중요하다고 생각합니다.
언제 달릴 건데?
열심히 계속 응원하고 있지.
오케이. 솔직히 스탑 성공한 부스 하나 공짜로 줘야 돼.
아, 그건 맞지.
솔직히 1등 3번은 좀 힘들지. 드립. 그러니까 원작이면은 원래 좀 너무 쉬울 것 같긴 한데 워낙 변수도 많고 몸싸움도 변수 너무 많아서
저만의 연금 메타가 있는데 그게 이제 1등을 연속으로 하면 게임이 끝나버리니까
미드에 있으면 연금 메타도 보고 그냥 연금 메타를 하다간 제가 보기엔 꼴찌를 할 것 같습니다.
1등 잘하는 선수들이 이 그 룰을 한번 보여주지 않을까.
누님?
난 니엘 아니면 이재혁 딱 이렇게 셋 정도?
그 이 규칙가 그 결승전에서도 할 수 있으면 진짜 좋겠어요. 1대1 필요 없으면 좋겠어요. 근데 아니에요. 그래서 좀 슬퍼요.
프리시즌은 말 그대로 예고편이고 정규 시즌이 찐 아닌가요?
무조건 연대 우승 할게요. 그리고 진짜 이기고 싶어요.
모두를 이긴다는 마음으로
이 갈고 올라왔으니까 더 높이 올라갈 수 있도록
팀전, 개인전 둘 다 결승 가서 우승까지 바라보도록 하겠습니다.
정규 시즌은 저희가 첫 별이 되어보도록 하겠습니다.
잘한다고 해서 자만하지 말고 무난하게 우승으로 끝내고 싶습니다.
프로팀들 그리고 아마추어 팀들 그리고 관객 여러분들 이번 시즌 저희 겁니다.
팬분들께 최대한 재밌고 즐거운 경기를 선보일 수 있도록 열심히 준비해 오겠습니다.
Always good to hear from the pro players, and with that, Peter, we are getting ready to start KDL regular season 1.
We are super excited to bring you guys the matchup to begin our day 1. It is going to be the rivalry that's always existed throughout Kart Rider history. Gwangdong FREECS versus Liiv Sandbox, as we see Gwangdong FREECS take the stage first.
From preseason 1 to preseason 2, Kwangdong FREECS absolutely had the number of Liiv Sandbox time and time again. This star-studded roster of World, Cool, Spear, and Sungbin was just firing in all cylinders all the way from the beginning from KDL preseason 1 to the end of KDL preseason 2. And the question that I really have here is, now that it's the regular season, Liiv Sandbox being one of, if not the most accomplished regular season team in Kart Rider history, are they going to be able to step up right to the occasion? I think if they want to take down the FREECS, it's going to have to start right now.
Liiv Sandbox is a team that has historically proven to be strong in the official seasons. They have shown up the most out of any team in the original Kart Rider tournaments. And of course now we have the first ever official tournament here in KDL, and today is their moment to prove that they have changed.
The gang is back together. NEAL, JiMin, Youngsu, Hyunsu, and Daldda. Daldda has been so clutch for them as the item ace since joining this roster in KDL preseason 2. And you gotta wonder what he's gonna bring to the table in the new meta that's evolving here in the regular season, with the importance of these 3-star tracks, with these new items, with these new tracks, period.
Absolutely, and of course we have to keep in mind that as you mentioned earlier, State, that Gwangdong FREECS, they do have still the 4-man lineup, and although they won twice this year, will it hold them back this time?
Yeah, you have to wonder. Depth, we kept thinking in KDL preseason 1 and preseason 2 it might come back to bite them, but it never did. They were back-to-back winners of both preseasons, and now they're just going to try and do it again here. See everybody on stage using the same build, 7-6-9-0. In speed mode right there, saying, oh, that's weird. Didn't we just meet in the opening match because it's the regular season? I gotta say, man, I mean, there isn't a better way to start the regular season here of Kart Rider Drift League. I mean, we had in season 1 of the preseason, season 2 of the preseason, these guys met in the finals and they gave us a thrilling show. And now we have 2 titans of Kart Rider Drift going toe-to-toe to kick off the beginning of the real championship.
This is the perfect way to get all the fans warmed up and ready once again within the universe of Kart Rider Drift. And of course, the opponents of Guangdong Freaks today, Liiv Sandbox. You have to keep in mind that it's the first time that Hyunsu leads the team as the captain. So you have to wonder, what is the teamwork going to look like this time?
Gotta think that it's gonna be good. I mean, these guys have been so stellar. They came so close in both preseasons to stopping the machine that is the Kwangdong Freaks, and you gotta think that they're only gonna get better here in the regular season. You see NEAL looking on the main stage to make sure that he's picking up their little, what is it, Powerpuff Girl type emotes right there. Gonna get right on stage. As they say, we're with Kwangdong Freaks at both ends of the preseason. So let's start with them here in the regular season with a win.
That would be the perfect way for Liiv Sandbox to show the fans that actually, yeah, the invincible fleet is back to show us again that they are the kings of official seasons.
But you never know. I mean, there has been quite a big shakeup as we get a look here at the speed track list. Liiv Sandbox did win the coin toss, and that means they took speed priority. So getting priority here on the picks and the bans as we will go across Shanghai Circuit, Terracotta Twister, Glacier Extreme Stadium, Construction Chaos, and Winding Slope. So a lot of classics here.
Definitely, it is pretty typical for our pro teams to prefer these harder tracks that they've practiced numerously on so far, whereas for the amateur teams, they might focus more on the newer tracks. So for now, we're just focusing on the classics.
And I gotta say, for most of the preseason, both preseason 1 and preseason 2, it felt like Kwangdong Freaks, if they had any weakness, any hole in their armor, it was in item mode, not in speed mode. In speed mode, they felt unstoppable. So I'm very curious to see how this Liiv Sandbox roster is going to line up against the Freaks. I mean, I think we're getting ready to get right into it and get the answers to that question, Peter, as we're going to track number 1 here, the KDL regular season. It is Shanghai Circuit.
We speed off into speed round 1 in our first ever showing of the Shanghai Circuit here in KDL, as we see cool Seongnam World pretty dominant in the front field.
Yeah, Kwangdong Freaks off to a fantastic start, but Hyunsu right on their tails. New captain right now. We'll see what he's able to bring to the table, taking that tighter line, able to pass World. And now I do want to point this out before the action gets too heated. If you look at the bottom left of your screen, not only do you have the player cams here at the KDL regular season, but you get to see the players' heartbeats as they're competing on stage. I absolutely love that. You see Seongnam right now a little bit higher there than Hyunsu at 100, but Hyunsu still in hot pursuit, trying to make his way around that corner.
And so far, it seems like Liiv Sandbox, they do have a pretty strong midfield, so they do have plenty of opportunity to break apart the 1-2 combo of Kwangdong Freaks. Byungsu is doing a great job holding 2 members in the back.
Yeah, Byungsu is doing a fantastic job sweeping there on the back, but are they going to be able to pass World? Right now, Liiv Sandbox are in a commanding position, but oh man, Seongnam taking a really nice line there, almost unseated Hyunsu from that rank 2 spot.
Oh my goodness, it looks like Guangdong Freaks, they got control over midfield once again. And with Hyunsu, his role right now is to get first place and try to buy time. JiMin is all the way back in 8th.
Yeah, I mean, if Hyunsu's able to work his way into first place, then Liiv Sandbox will have a chance here in the opening track of this speed set, but it doesn't seem like World and Seongnam are giving him any room to maneuver. It's a 2v1 right now in first place, and Kwangdong Freaks are dominating it. At this point, you gotta think, even if Hyunsu's able to work his way into first, he might not win.
It looks like Guangdong Freaks is just gonna take this one all the way into the finish line. World and Seongnam with the 1-2 duo finishing off speed round 1.
Man, what a statement here for the Kwangdong Freaks. You know, historically, they're a team that has struggled in the official regular seasons of Kart Rider going back to the original game. But here they are, opening map against who is probably going to be their toughest opponent of the entire season. Their arch nemesis, and they're winning track number 1 against Liiv Sandbox.
I feel like this was such a strong showing from Guangdong Freaks on an important track like the WKC Shanghai Circuit, because this is one of the newer tracks that our teams have had to readjust to. And to show that they are still good, even in these new tracks, it really makes it seem like Guangdong Freaks, this is a team that's so hard to beat in speed.
Even coming into this one, World said in an interview that Shanghai Circuit is the #1 track that he is practicing. Not because he thinks that it's hard or because it's new, but just because it's so much fun.
Oh, yeah?
That's what he said, man. But I gotta say, looking at the performance right there, you can see the translation of that success from practice absolutely coming through. Freaks looking really commanding to kick this one off as we're gonna move on to track number 2. I believe it is Terracotta Twister, if I'm not mistaken. Something that Liiv Sandbox historically has done a little bit better on, but let's keep in mind, they had pick priority. This is Kwangdong Freaks pick.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting that now we're moving on to the second track, which is picked by Kwangdong Freaks. So Liiv Sandbox, they have a lot to prove. They're down 0-1 as we enter track number 2, World Tour Terracotta Twister.
And here we go on Terracotta Twister. Kwangdong Freaks winning this best of 5, 5-0. But Liiv Sandbox off to a great start. You see Hyunsu right there pulling ahead of the pack. Byung-soo, formerly known as Speed, right behind him. Oh, I love him cutting off World right there. Although World is able to fight back here on this straight edge.
World is absolutely a key player for Kwangdong Freaks. He's been constantly running for first, and if Liiv Sandbox can prevent that from him, especially controlling the midfield, that is what Liiv Sandbox needs.
And you can feel these gears really coming through as one player got caught right there on the corner. Now coming into this inner portion, World still holding on to first place. We'll see if Liiv Sandbox decides to take some tight inner angles to see if they can contest that position, but so far seems like everyone playing a little bit conservative here. Not too many risks taken. Liiv Sandbox, they know they're in a good position with NEAL and Hyunsu so close to the front. They just got to close the distance.
Yeah, right now Liiv Sandbox, they did fortunately recover from the attempt of blocking from Cool, so they're able to still have that 2-3-4, but keep in mind, Hyunsu being locked in 8th is very concerning because Cool, he can easily recover back to the top 3.
Yeah, Hyunsu either has to work his way up from 8th place or Liiv Sandbox has to nail down positions 2, 3, 4 to come through the win here on the second lap. But Kwangdong Freaks, although the start was a little bit scary here in track number 2, they're looking to consolidate this one with a win.
It seems right now that Kwangdong Freaks, they have complete control over midfield here, so NEAL and JiMin, they have to kind of secure the 1-2. It's their only win condition, but this is the tricky part.
And World doing such a good job there with the inner lines. Oh, even colliding right there. Oh, World, watch out. Actually, JiMin gets knocked off the track, so NEAL's going to be in first place. And you might think that's good here for Liiv Sandbox, but Kwangdong Freaks is locking down the 2-3-4. That is a win condition here in track number 2 with only 200 meters left to go. Unless Hyunsu can somehow close the distance. No, it's going to be the Kwangdong Freaks going up 2-0 here in track number 2.
I loved the attempt from NEAL bouncing off the wall, and he tried to collide into Kwangdong Freaks there, but unfortunately it was JiMin who fell off the track, and at that point the 1-2 win condition for Liiv Sandbox was long gone, and Kwangdong Freaks, they're having such a dominating form today in speed.
I gotta say, they are not missing a beat. The carts are faster, we got more gear going up into that heroic tier, and I'm imagining a lot of records are going to be set as we continue on in the regular season here of KDL. These carts so much faster, everything on the line, even those collisions not manifesting into hits on your nitro meter anymore. That boost gauge just keeps going up and up and up, and you could really see the speed translating because it feels like everything's in overdrive right now here in speed mode, and for a team as mechanically skilled as the Kwangdong Freaks, that absolutely plays in their hands. Now up 2-0 here against Liiv Sandbox.
Kwangdong Freaks is one match away from winning speed, but keep in mind that this third track is picked by Liiv Sandbox themselves as we get ready to enter the Glacier Extreme Stadium. We begin our speed round 3. This is match point here for Kwangdong Freaks. Liiv Sandbox needs to come back this time around.
Yeah, Liiv Sandbox needs a reverse sweep right now to stay in contention here in speed mode. Hyunsu off to a great start. I feel like he's been the anchor for this team right from the gates every single track as he's battling against Seongnam right now to try to retain that #1 spot, but once again, Kwangdong Freaks with this excellent midfield, holding on to positions 2, 3, and 4. Cool not very far down there in 6th place, and Seongnam even vying for position 1.
But I do like that Hyunsu is holding first pretty firmly right now against Seongnam, because NEAL is a player that can definitely catch up, and the 1-2 is looking like the most likely win condition for Liiv Sandbox.
I like that, how it's shaping up, but one of the problems, Hyunsu has a little bit of a collision there. Luckily for him, I think that was Spear who got caught there for the Kwangdong Freaks. That's going to give a little bit more breathing room here to our Liiv Sandbox players, as it seems those positions 1 and position 2, very important, but World right here on this straightaway. A big boost is going to allow him to supplant NEAL for a moment, but NEAL fighting back.
Yeah, NEAL absolutely fought back there, had some great body checks against World, but once again, World is a player that has great recovery. Seongbin, he needs the support, because if NEAL takes over first place, you can't afford to give over that 1-2 right now.
And Liiv Sandbox, they've done a great job of solidifying their midfield here in this one. They want to contest that 1-2 because it does seem to be the win condition here for the Kwangdong Freaks, but it's so close as we get ready to come into these final hairpin turns. Is Liiv Sandbox going to be able to pass World and Seongbin?
Oh, Hyunsu did a nice attempt there to try to throw World off his line, and now 2nd place being held by Hyunsu. Liiv Sandbox is doing great right now.
Oh man, what a fantastic turn of events here for Liiv Sandbox, as one of the Kwangdong Freaks players just falls all the way behind, and now with a 1-3-4 finish, it seems Liiv Sandbox is going to live to fight another day here in speed mode, going 2-1 here.
Man, that was an extremely close one all the way down till the end, but the focus from Liiv Sandbox won out in the end. They were able to kick back the midfield from Kwangdong Freaks and take complete control, which is what we want to see, because we don't want the speed mode to be 3-0'd in such an exciting matchup like this.
I mean, the more tracks that we get between two teams like this one on stage, the better it is for us, the better it is for the fans, although the pro gamers might not like it quite as much. You know they're hoping for that 3-0 victory, the Kwangdong Freaks, I mean, but Liiv Sandbox absolutely coming through. Hyunsu, I gotta say, for me right now from Liiv Sandbox, absolutely the MVP here in the first 3 tracks of speed, as it feels like every single race he is right out of the gates, leading the charge there for Liiv Sandbox, leading the fleet, and even getting first place there. And that last track, it's looking really good for LSB. I would love to see them force to map number 5.
We love to see the captain coming out to perform. Of course, Hyunsu has had a bit of experience being the captain in the previous preseason, but this is the official season where it all matters, so the pressure has to be on a completely different level.
All right, Peter, let's get ready to go to track number 4. Still match point here for Kwangdong Freaks. Liiv Sandbox fighting to force a map number 5 on Desert Construction Chaos. And here we go in speed round 4. Kwangdong Freaks leading 2-1 here over Liiv Sandbox on one of the more technical tracks that we have in this pool. And once again, LSB off to a really good start. You can see Spear bolting ahead, but look at the pack right behind them. 3 different LSB players.
Keep in mind that Kwangdong Freaks did choose this track, so I am expecting to see some heavy recoveries from them, given that this is a track that they are heavily versed in. So far, however, NEAL and Byungsu, they're having a pretty significant distance from the 3rd place.
Yeah, NEAL and Byungsu doing a great job right now of locking up these top 2 positions, and it can be so important here on Construction Chaos to have a 2v1 setup like this, because you can establish these body checks. It's so hard to pass on these 90-degree turns if your opponents have really good sweeping, but Spear was somehow able to get past NEAL.
Absolutely. NEAL right now once again trying to block out Spear. He does bonk him back, but now it's World to come into 2nd place. NEAL has a lot on his hands right now.
Yeah, and it seems like he's mostly focused on sweeping and giving Byungsu as much space as possible, and to his credit, he's accomplished that. That's a couple of fractions of a second that Byungsu has in terms of a lead. Yeah, almost half a second, in fact, between Byungsu and 2nd place. So Liiv Sandbox, it seems like they've locked down, at least for now, position number 1, and they can look at just solidifying the midfield to win behind it.
Yeah, and it seems Spear is trying all he can, while you can see NEAL trying to be as pesky as possible. So what Spear and World needs to do is they need to take turns trying to look for the opening for NEAL. They need to get past him somehow, but it's not looking possible right now.
I mean, NEAL is one of the best runners in the world. On many teams, he would be a speed ace, but here he is playing the role of a sweeper quite perfectly. He just seems to be this indomitable wall that World and Spear, and even Seongnam behind him, cannot supplant. And as a result of that, he's now just starting to run away with this one with Byungsu, and LSB, they might be looking at a 1-2 victory here.
Absolutely, World. He needs to do all he can to break apart this 1-2. That's the one job that he has, but you look at the distance, it's not within the drafting range, and it seems like NEAL and Byungsu are going to take this one all the way to the finish line in a 1-2 fashion.
And it was the only win condition there for Liiv Sandbox as well, with Hyunsu and JiMin all the way down in position 7 and 8. They had to lock down that top two, and so NEAL coming through absolutely in the clutch there on Construction Chaos. You know, if he makes one mistake and allows those racers from KWANGDONG FREECS to pass him, suddenly we're looking at a 3-1 victory for KDF. But instead, Liiv Sandbox, through NEAL's sheer tenacity, just not breaking under the pressure, are going to be able to force a map number 5.
And how the atmospheres have changed, State. At first, it felt like KWANGDONG FREECS were just so dominant here in speed, but now we are tied 2-2. One final match to determine who will win speed. This is going to be an important one, and you have to keep in mind that Liiv Sandbox chose track number 5.
That's right. They do have a speed priority here, having won that coin toss. They put 2 points on the board. They would love to get the victory, as we have a replay here of NEAL just really playing this so perfectly. You can see Spear a little bit too tight in on that angle, and from that moment on, NEAL just never let off on the pressure. From that moment, NEAL was locked in at number 2 all the way through to the finish line, and that was a key part of Liiv Sandbox's success. And so now we're gonna get ready to go to Mind-Winding Slopes, Peter, and I'm wondering who's gonna take this one, as these two heavyweight teams are going toe-to-toe, going the distance here in speed mode. Track number 5 on Winding Slopes will decide it, who's gonna win on speed.
We go off into the one final match to determine the victor of speed between KWANGDONG FREECS and Liiv Sandbox. Here we are in Winding Slopes, and it looks like it's pretty balanced so far.
Yeah, pretty balanced spread. Spear right now in first place, but JiMin and Byungsu right behind him, and NEAL, we know how good he is at running from these lower ranked positions. I would not be surprised to see him start passing players left and right, especially on a challenging track such as Mind-Winding Slopes. And keep in mind, this is just a one-lapper. Any mistake that you make on this one is going to be even more punishing than on a longer track. So the pressure's on all these racers right now, and some big positions changing hands. Still Spear able to hold on to first place. JiMin trying to find the tight inner line to pass him, but KWANGDONG FREECS have really solidified at the top of the ranks.
Keep in mind, Liiv Sandbox, they're really struggling right now in the back. You can see NEAL, he is so far behind.
And JiMin right there with a collision on the pillar.
Another one.
No, and that one also blocked him into Hyunsu. So right now the 1-2-3 finish might be viable here for the KWANGDONG FREECS. Some uncharacteristic missteps here from Team Liiv Sandbox coming through those tunnels. They're gonna try some very fancy spin turns to see if they can close the distance, but it might not be enough.
It's looking like it so far, State. KWANGDONG FREECS, they have an absolute firm control on this 1-2, and Spear and Seongnam, they deliver without a mistake on that cliff jump. And ladies and gentlemen, it is KWANGDONG FREECS who wins round number 5 and takes that victory in speed.
Man, that one went absolutely down to the wire, though. It was looking like it was going to be a commanding victory for the KWANGDONG FREECS after just 2 tracks, but Liiv Sandbox fighting back, forcing that map number 5. Maybe if some of those turns go a little bit differently there on that one lapper, they're able to come through with a reverse sweep and deliver the win, but instead it's going to be KDF, Spear, and Seongnam delivering a 1-2 finish, getting that win for the KWANGDONG FREECS.
It felt like once Liiv Sandbox lost control over midfield, there was simply no support, and meaning that the players at the front, they couldn't make any mistakes, and it's so hard to not make a mistake on a track like the Winding Slopes. Even pro players, they struggle to play it out perfectly each time.
Especially if you're behind, because when you're behind, that means you have to take riskier lines than you otherwise might, and that's resulted in JiMin, you know, hitting a pillar, hitting the corner of a post, and colliding with one of his teammates because he's just trying to do every possible thing he can to close the distance, to take the path of least travel to catch up to positions 1 and 2. But if you don't execute that absolutely perfectly, it comes back to bite you. And you know, to KWANGDONG FREECS' credit, that's not even really an unforced error there for Team Liiv Sandbox. It's because of the pressure that KDF was able to deliver.
Yeah, and of course now we are moving on into the item mode. So we have the item A's coming in for Liiv Sandbox. Daldda is going to replace NEAL on the side of KWANGDONG FREECS. There's no speed A's. They run on a 4-man roster, so they're just going to stay as is.
Yeah, Liiv Sandbox, they have been so clutch here with Daldda joining the team as the item ace. As we look here at the track list, we're going to be going to Mine Magma Cavern first. And then, ooh, we got 2 spooky maps. I'm so glad Liiv Sandbox picked these ones. We're going to go into Graveyard Cemetery Circuit for track number 2. Track number 3, Forest Misty Falls. And then should we go to a track number 4, we got another graveyard map, Dark Castle, before rounding things off at World Tour London Night. And thinking back to KDL Preseason 2, Kwangdong Freaks, they were a little bit complacent, it felt. After their championship victory in KDL Preseason 1, they were a little bit more shaky. They even struggled to get some amateur teams, especially in item mode. And Liiv Sandbox, historically so far here in the KDL, in the preseasons, they've excelled in item. So I'm thinking that there's a very good chance that Liiv Sandbox, despite not having item mode priority, might still be able to pull out 3 wins, force an ace match.
That would definitely be super exciting for all of us here, including the fans. We always love to see a match decided by an ace match, especially from a team like Kwangdong Freeks, who has World. He's been such a decorated ace match player so far here in KDL that you're excited to see him potentially compete today against the likes of Liiv Sandbox. They also have so many players that can play that ace match.
Yeah, but World, I mean, is in a class of his own when it comes to ace matches, should we get there. Over the KDL Preseason 1 and Preseason 2, he went 7-1 for a near 90% win rate in the toughest situations imaginable. I mean, 1v1s with everything on the line, World continuously delivered. So even if Liiv Sandbox is able to come through and deliver 3 wins, secure item mode, and force that ace match, it's still going to be a journey. But that journey is going to have to start right now. This first map here in item mode, let's go to Mine Magma Cavern. Now the race begins on Mine Magma Cavern, and I want to point out here, by the way, this is one of the 3 difficulty star item maps, which means we are going to have items like Daldda just picked up, the Siren there. You blast that thing the same way that Cool has. You blast that, you collide with another racer on an opposing team, they are burning out.
And it's interesting to note that it does seem like Seongbin might have had a disconnect, so we will check up on that in a moment. But it's really interesting to see how the Siren, it seems to be getting held by most of the players rather than used early on. So they're prioritizing it as a very good item to keep for more crucial moments.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of want to pop that right when you're in a position to get a lot of collisions off on opposing players, right? You just get maximum value. If you pop it and you maybe only hit 1 guy, that's not too much value, but it is a lot of fun to see these new items getting mixed up into the item mode. As you said, Seongbin, with that disconnect, we will probably have a regame, I think, here for track number 1. But man, we are going to be in for a treat as this new patch is just shaping up to be so good. And also, one thing I want to notice, I think we have to wait until we get a vision of a player holding onto a water balloon, but at least when you're playing the game, I believe also in the observing client, if you have that water balloon in your grasp, you can see on the mini-map where it would be projected to land should you throw it at that moment, which is a really nice quality of life thing that we got here added in the new season. Is going to cut that one short a little bit early there. Of course, Seongbin with that disconnect means that we will have to resolve whatever computer issue that he has and go into the rematch. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And, luckily that happened right at the beginning of the track, so not too much time lost. No secret strategies unveiled.
Yeah, it definitely didn't kill any hype moments there because the item modes, they do tend to be a bit more lax in the beginning portion of the race, and we do have the rematch now confirmed, so we will re-enter this track number 1 here in Mine Magma Cavern. And I must say, from what we got a little taste of, an appetizer into the item match here today's state, it feels like there's no longer such an emphasis on Lightning, Magnets, and Angels as we have seen in the previous preseasons.
I think Lightning is always going to be good, as is Angel. I think those are always going to be top-tier items, but as you said, before, oftentimes in KDL Preseason 2, thinking back on the tracks that we watched, the matches that were played, oftentimes you would see individual players, if they were lucky enough, they would hold on to double Angel, or they would hold on to double Lightning, and now I'm wondering, are you going to try to be more active with those items so that you can cycle through the big banana, through the scanner, through the Siren, and try to find more value that way? Because as far as these pro gamers are concerned, every single moment that they're in the game, they're just trying to figure out, how do I get the most possible value out of my item set? Out of the build that I got, out of the tools at my disposal, what can I do to help my team succeed? Because in item mode, it's all about who crosses that finish line first, right? So you want to set up for that combination. And as you said, maybe that means a little bit less emphasis on Thunderbolts, a little bit less emphasis on Angel Shields, even though there's still very good items, and more focus on something like the Siren.
Yeah, in the players' interviews, they mentioned definitely how Siren is looking to be such a hectic item in the item mode right now, where there's so much focus on that item being picked up. You have to watch out because that player is going to completely control the field for that short duration of time. And also, items like the scanner, it is important to keep track of whether that first player has an EMP wave or not, because if they don't, you can signal that to your team and be like, hey guys, we need a UFO ASAP, because that will give us that advantage.
Yeah, scanner is going to be a very big game changer. I think one of the most undersold or maybe unexpected changes coming into this one is, you know, if you're playing a random lobby, you know, not playing with friends, the scanner, maybe it's not too valuable if you're just doing like a ranked match at home or doing a Grand Prix or just something for fun, right? But then you go into this pro mode where there is so much conscious thought about how best to approach every individual map, and even within the map, just the match that you're playing itself, you know, what items do we think that they have? There's a bit of a poker game that's been played over KDL Preseason 1 and Preseason 2, but now that you have the scanner, as we said before, you can kind of lift that veil. You can look behind the curtain and see exactly what the other team is operating with, and maybe that leads to you changing your game plan. Maybe you see, oh, there's no Angel Shield or anything. Let's pop a Lightning Bolt right now. Let's go for a Siren right now. Let's try and get some damage before they get those big defensive items.
Absolutely. It's such a crucial way to play out these pro matches here, where the level of communication is on a completely different level. And for me personally, I do wonder though how big the big banana is going to be, because I tried playing the item mode, but I couldn't see any games where that was utilized. So it usually was in the preseasons that the normal banana, the pro players have maneuvered around with ease. They have no problem dodging that at all, but a big one, you have to wonder, is it even possible to dodge it?
A big banana. I can't wait to see it, man. We didn't get any big bananas coming through, so I think the proc chance is a little bit lower than perhaps the other items, but that could also be a game changer. You get a big banana, and then, you know, I'm sure these pro players are going to know exactly the angle behind their cart, where if you're there, you simply cannot dodge it, right? So might see a little bit more setup there. We'll see exactly how that one goes.
Wow, it was like a little crossover between Lego and Kart Rider.
That was cute.
That. Yeah, we have so many talented fans in the crowd today, all showing off their cheerfuls in a moment like this. When you have a tech pause, that is the upside. You can take a look at what the fans have brought to cheer their favorite players with.
Yeah, we're still waiting for everybody to join the lobby, so there is a technical issue on KWANGDONG FREECS side that they're trying to resolve. I'm sure the admin team is on it. We'll be getting it squared away as soon as possible, but yeah, it really is exciting to get a shakeup like this in item mode. I mean, item mode from KDL Preseason 1 to KDL Preseason 2, it got so much better with the meta shifting, with the rebalancing of the items that happened in those patches, and now coming into KDL Preseason 3, or not Preseason 3, excuse me, the regular season. I just want to keep counting up. It feels like it's going to be absolutely superb. I cannot wait to get into the action and see how these pro players, especially Banana, who on Desperado, he's not playing today. I mean, he's one of the best item aces in the business, right? So I would love to see what he cooks up. I'm sure Banana himself is going to love the big banana.
That was actually mentioned.
It's going to be his specialty.
Yeah, even the producers were kind of getting in on that meme, like, oh, Banana's a player that's got to be the best at utilizing the big banana, right?
I mean, he is a big banana himself. He's a large guy. He's strong, built like an ox. I would not be surprised to see him come in with that big banana, flex his muscles a little bit, take these other gamers down, as it seems like we're still trying to get this issue resolved.
Yeah, our player on the screen right now is Seongbin, and Seongbin is the player that has had the disconnect, and you can see him kind of just shaking his head. But he did put on the headset, and it seems like he's in the lobby now, so we should be getting back soon.
Yeah, should be getting back into Mind Magma Cavern in just a moment. Just got to confirm that all the players are ready, and hopefully the tech issue is resolved and we can proceed, because, man, it's going to be so much fun to see how these players use all these new items on this 3-star difficulty track. Let's run it back, Peter. Let's go back to Mind Magma Cavern for item 1, or map number 1 of item mode. All right. I think the issue might not yet be resolved.
Yeah, we saw that on our screen, so we can kind of see the lobby on our own screens. And Seongbin, once again, he failed to load into the game.
Yeah, his progress bar got about halfway done, and then it stalled out. So it seems like it's probably some kind of issue with his PC. I mean, I'm not much of an IT guy myself, but, you know, going from any season and then taking an off season and then coming back and playing again, like the gap from KDL preseason 2 and then going into the regular season 1, there's always a little bit of a shakeup. You know, it takes a little while to get everything firing on all cylinders again, but hopefully this will get sorted very quickly. I think the admin team, the tech team, is going to try to just, you know, recreate the lobby, re-invite everybody, make sure Seongbin is good to go, and hopefully we'll load it in this next one.
Yeah, and from what we've seen, all the other players from both teams have loaded in with no problem at all. So I feel like creating this new lobby will most likely fix the problem for Seongbin, and we'll be able to get back to our first match of Item, because it feels to me that whenever you have tech problems, you just need to restart, and that fixes your problems at least half the time.
Spoken like a true IT consultant right there. You try turning it off and on again. It's the tried and true method of gamers and people around the world. But I do suspect that it was probably just some kind of PC problem, because the game client, at least when I'm playing it, it runs like butter, man. It is smooth as smooth can be. Really a lot of fun, as we see now on our little monitors. Everybody joining back up into the lobby. So fingers crossed that we're able to get into Mind Magma Cavern this time. I think maybe these new items are just a little bit too hype. The game can't handle it. This PC, it's overheating, man. It's all that magma getting in. The lava CPU is just at like 500 degrees centigrade.
Yeah, even our esports PCs cannot handle the file format of the big banana. It creates problems, man. It's too big.
It's like, what was that thing called? It's like a zip file that contains like a zip file that contains a zip file, and if you try unpacking it, it's like a petabyte or something. That's the big banana, man. That thing's gigantic. Just consumes the world. The banana that was foretold. But all jokes aside, Seongbin back into the lobby. Players seem like they're ready to go. You know what they say, Peter, third time is the charm.
That is definitely a saying that we've heard many times, and it does usually turn out to be true. So it seems now we will be trying for the third time to re-enter Mind Magma Cavern here as we kick off our item mode with this round 1. We're back.
I think this has to be some kind of computer issue here for Seongbin, and I feel a little bit for the pros on stage, because you know that the adrenaline's pumping right now. You just finished speed mode for Liiv Sandbox. They're right on the edge. They have to win 3 tracks to force an ace. And then you get delayed and delayed and delayed, and the anticipation that must be building for these guys on stage has got to be through the roof right now. Is I guarantee they just want a game, but there is some issue with Seongbin's PC. We might have to actually swap out his desktop computer for another one. This has happened in the past in one of the KDL preseasons. It's pretty quick, you know? It's like watching those videos of like professional racing teams like IRL when they change the tires and retread them or whatever when the rain starts falling. The pit crews that come in. We got the same kind of guys here at the KDL. They are speedy when they switch these PCs. So hopefully that switch will be enough for Seongbin to get back into this lobby, as everybody else has succeeded in loading in. It's just every single time we load it up, Seongbin is getting hung at like, I want to say 50, 60%.
That's the positive thing. If it's only Seongbin having problems, it's not a problem on the internet side or anything like that. So if we swap out the PC, it will most likely solve any issues from re-happening here in the item mode. In speed mode, at least Seongbin, you know, he was having no problems at all. So if we just swap this PC, it will likely be really smooth once again.
I imagine it's just some kind of PC issue.
Yeah.
You know, oftentimes this can happen when you have spaces between seasons. Is usually day 1, day 2, they're oftentimes the rockiest just because you haven't gone through all of the paces of playing the game again. You know, one of those PCs, maybe it downloaded some update over the past couple of months. I mean, I'm not an IT guy. I don't know exactly how these things work, but maybe that broke something in the PC, and it's only coming to light here in the item mode. But once Seongnam gets that new PC set up, we should be ready to go.
And man, just looking at World on the screen, it is, or not World, sorry, I mean to say Cool on the screen. It is always a pleasure to watch and play because Cool has such a play style where you feel like he's always going to recover and come back to the top no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
And when he doesn't do that, it's usually on purpose because Cool is playing a sweeping role or something. This is why the roster of Kwangdong Freaks works out, because each player that you look at from the side of Kwangdong Freaks, they're all such decorated players, considered to be one of the best, if not the best, from the original Kart Rider League. And now, the question for them is, can they finally secure a season victory in the official season here?
I can't imagine a 4-man roster that would be as packed as the Kwangdong Freaks are. Oftentimes, even in previous KDLs, not just with you, but with William and with Wolf, we would talk about the benefits, the supposed benefits of having a deeper roster with an item ace and a speed ace. And one guy like NEAL who specializes in just going fast, and then somebody that specializes in item mode, like maybe a Banana that you have on your team. But Kwangdong Freaks is really able to do it all from top to bottom, and Cool, a critical part of that success. And since we have a little bit of downtime just revisiting the Cartwright builds, it's a little bit different compared to what we had there in speed mode. Now in speed mode, everybody with the exception of Byungsu was running with a 7.690. Byungsu operated on a 7.591. But moving on here to item mode, it's quite different. We have World and the Kwangdong Freaks going with a 9.085, so 13 points in total there in the boost, 9 in speed. You have Cool with 5 in speed, 17 in the boost, and then you go into guys like Spear and Seongnam there on the Freaks. Spear 9.274, Seongnam 8.284, a little bit more widespread, and so you kind of have to wonder about whether these racers are going to start to try and play more specific roles with the gears that they have. Because we did see this time and time again in KDL Preseason 1 and KDL Preseason 2, where certain racers, especially Banana comes to mind, and I know we keep harping on him as an item ace, but he is one of the best item aces in the business. Very creative, very smart fellow. You would see him play and he would put almost no points at his speed. He would just go full boost. He would try to get like a double nitro or a nitro magnet combo to come through with a Hail Mary play at the end of the track. But now that everyone has more gears to play with a heroic tier of carts, I feel like that creativity might get a little bit different. There was another team, and at least one player, I can't remember who it was in KDL Preseason 2, but they went the complete opposite of what Banana was doing that I'm describing. They put all of their points into speed and acceleration, and they're like, you know what? I'm not going to boost. I'm not really going to play for the nitro. I'm not going to play for the magnet. I'm going to go fast. My teammates are going to try to cycle through attacks to their best of their ability, and I will just go so far away that no one can touch me. And that worked multiple times over the course of the season. And you know, considering that we have, what, like 8 more gears or something, now that we've gone up in tiers, I feel like there's a little bit more room for creativity. And so I'm wondering exactly how these builds are going to play out, how it's going to factor into the strategies that these teams are bringing to the table. Because I guarantee you that the cart builds that we have right here on day 1 between the Freaks and Liiv Sandbox, this is something that I would expect to evolve over the course of the 2-month regular season.
And it already has also in the selection of the cart bodies, because in speed, it feels like Hover Shark and Bursts are kind of like a must-have alongside Octo Roller and Eclipse Alphas. We've had so many new cart bodies added, but our pro players and the teams have already figured out which ones are kind of just best for the meta currently. But for the item, you have to keep in mind that pretty much you just pick what car you like. Doesn't seem to matter that much. Whatever you're used to, you just drive it. And that's one of the benefits of item mode, where it's a lot more casual, and you can kind of just like play around with these customizations that the game really offers.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Although I feel like the strategy that comes into this is going to be a little bit more nuanced, I would think, especially as the season evolves. And we have so many different cart bodies now in Kart Rider Drift, as the content just keeps coming along.
Yep.
You know, there is no shortage of new content in this game. Is just really quickly to update you guys on our monitors, we were able to see that, you know, the admins, they replaced the PC there. and they went through just one quick launch, one quick test run. Everyone was able to successfully load into the lobby, and so I'm thinking that very soon we'll be able to get this thing going underway. It seems like the issue's resolved. The admins are just making sure that everything is absolutely spick and span, nice and clean and ready to go. But the action should resume momentarily. Thank you so much for sticking with us. So I know you would love to see a continuation of Kart Rider action just as much as we would.
Yeah, we also want to see the item matches coming and flowing, especially in a big rivalry matchup between Guangdong Freaks.
I'm just so curious about how the meta is going to shape up here in item mode. And we got like a little bit of a teaser. We got a little bit of a teaser. There is a disconnect. Just had that one little teaser, and then we weren't able to play much more.
Yep.
And so now I'm just wondering, I mean, we had, what, I think it was 2 sirens or 3 sirens that popped very early there. So we're going to get a chance to look at the different proc gens, the different way these players are going to be using these new items, such as the big banana, the scanner, and the siren. I just cannot wait to get into the action.
And we just had a second test, getting everyone loaded into the item matches, and it seems like it went swimmingly without a single problem for any of the players, especially for Seongnam. It seems like his connection is more secure now, as now we just make sure to check up on NEAL here and figure out if there's any problems over there. Might be a good opportunity to just check up on all the players, make sure that we won't have any more pauses.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we would all just love to keep this action rolling on, but it does seem like Seongmin's issues, for the most part, have been resolved. That new PC swap absolutely did it. And so I think very soon we're going to be ready to go into the game as the lobby is getting created. Players, headsets on, hands on the keyboards, getting ready to rumble here as item mode is going to continue on. Track number 1 here in item mode between the KWANGDONG Freaks and Liiv Sandbox. We return again to Mind Magma Cavern. Let's get into this thing. And at last, a weight is off our shoulders as the action can commence. And look at that, Byung-Soo immediately picking up a siren, Daldda immediately popping a magnet. Action is picking up so quickly. Look at that, Byung-Soo just immediately goes for it, man. He did not wait a moment to hold on to that thing. He just popped it.
Yeah, Byung-Soo didn't want to give World a chance to get up in the positions because the players mentioned that now it feels like the item mode meta is more shifted around actually maintaining a positional advantage throughout the big portion of the race, and that's what Liiv Sandbox is doing right now. Daldda, he gets targeted by too many items, however.
Angel Shield does pop, and man, I gotta say, the feel of Pro Match item mode is definitely different. Look at how fast these racers are spinning across the track, and a lot of that is just because you have so many more gears to play with. It's now a high-octane race as JiMin's gonna try and close the distance. I love that magnet usage. Seongnam also getting sucked up there by the EMP, but attack coming in on JiMin. He will spin out twice, in fact, as KWANGDONG Freaks World Spear and Seongnam consolidating the top of the ranks, but here comes Daldda fighting back.
Yeah, the sirens are absolutely effective here in the front field. Daldda's able to secure his first place off of that. A shield comes in at a nice timing, but that barricade and water bomb is too big to avoid.
Barricade water bomb coming in really clutch, especially on these narrow passageways. Unfortunately for World, he was able to skirt past that one, not connecting with that water balloon as we're now entering the final lap.
World, he's got double shield right now, so he's looking pretty secure, if I may say so. JiMin, he can afford to catch up with a booster, but there's no catch-up available on the side of Liiv Sandbox.
I think World actually just popped his shield to get through that water balloon. That was sick timing if that's what happened. Either did that or he just missed it. So World still able to retain his #1 position. 400 meters left to go, but UFO is going to catch him up, and will JiMin be able to use that as an opportunity? He pops the nitrous. He has his shield ready to go. Angel Shield popping for Liiv Sandbox, and Hyunsoo just blasts through the water balloon. And man, I gotta say, item mode is so much faster now with this new rule set, with these new items, with these new gears. It's a new era for item mode here in KDL, and I could not be happier. That was intense from start to finish.
The biggest giveaway there was that a magnet was popped as soon as it was gotten, and it's not like the distance between the first place and second place was just super huge. They were pretty close, but it was all about the pacing here, and we can see that new meta of item mode coming in, And personally, State, I do really like this version of item mode that we're seeing here today.
Oh, I love it. It's so quick. It is so fast. I mean, thinking back to KDL preseason 1 and preseason 2, we would have what feels like 15, 30, 45 seconds of players just slowly working through the track lap after lap after lap, trying to pick up Angel Shields, trying to pick up Thunderbolts, and it was a little bit of a chess game that was going on, but the action is just so fast, so intense here in the new item mode as we kick off the KDL regular season. We're already ready to go to track number 2. Let's go to Graveyard Cemetery Circuit.
We get our first look at Graveyard Cemetery Circuit here in KDL, here in the official season, and this is looking to be a 3-lapper track, so we are in for a long one.
Yeah, it is a 3-lapper track. Another 3-star as well, so those sirens absolutely can come into the play. Big Banana as well, although I don't think we got a chance to look at that there in track number 1, although the racer sped by so fast. I might have missed it, but for now, KWANGDONG Freak cool in a very good position. Daldda once again right behind him. He's been so clutch for Liiv Sandbox here in item mode.
Yeah, and he's holding on to an Angel, which is a nice inventory right now. KWANGDONG Freaks, they pick up an Angel of their own as well. And Hyunsu, he really stood back there to kind of just fall back in line. He tried to go for some stops.
And I love the aesthetic of this map so much. The developers have done such a fantastic job of just breathing new life after new life after new life into this game as those pumpkins. What do they contain? Well, we got a scanner there on Seongnam, I believe. I think he instantly popped that. So KWANGDONG Freaks, if I'm not mistaken, they were the ones popping the scanner, getting a really good idea of exactly what Liiv Sandbox has, which is, for now, just 1 Angel Shield.
Yeah, and Hyunsu is going to go for a toss of the water bomb there. It's going to miss. But you have to keep in mind that both teams are having a pretty good control right now on that top field. They're also holding on to a bunch of Angels, so I feel like things are going to get really crazy with a lot of items being exchanged.
KWANGDONG Freaks do have 1 more Angel Shield, so a little bit more defensive opportunity for them as we enter lap number 3. Ooh, really nice water balloon connecting with 2 different players. Oh, Siren comes through, but actually Liiv Sandbox basically able to disable it with a ton of attacks. That's going to allow them to consolidate a little bit here. Hyunsu, he's starting to build some distance. He's got a shield and Nitros there, but the UFO will slow him down.
And Seongbin off of that magnet pull, he's able to now get into first place. Hyunsu, he's holding on to a shield only, so it's going to be hard for him to catch up. Seongbin, he has a Nitrous as well.
Yeah, Hyunsu needs to pick up a big item. Oh no, it's another shield, so it's going to come down to JiMin right now. He does have a rocket, potentially to attack Seongbin, but the shield pops, 500 meters left to go. JiMin also has a Nitrous. Is it going to be enough? Oh, it's Daldda coming back. Oh, he's trying to boost through this. 150 meters left. Seongbin, Angel Shield pops, but he gets caught right at the moment. Luckily for him, though, World coming in from the outside out of seemingly nowhere, able to clutch it. I thought for sure Daldda was going to be able to pass at that last moment with those attacks coming in on Seongbin, but World just, with the Ihan timing, making his way and putting KWANGDONG Freaks on the board. All tied up now 1-1.
Seongbin was such a crucial player for KWANGDONG Freaks that match. He really almost turned the tides there with the magnet, and after that, he was able to absorb so much aggro, all the items coming out of Liiv Sandbox, that World was able to kind of just capitalize at the end there, come out of nowhere like you put it, State. And we already are tied 1-1 here on our first item mode of KDL season.
Kurrider, Drift League just keeps getting better. KDF and Liiv Sandbox here in the opening match of the regular season going toe-to-toe. Was a 3-2 victory in speed mode for the KWANGDONG Freaks to kick things off, and now Liiv Sandbox all tied up 1-1 here. Both teams 2-map wins away. KWANGDONG Freaks 2-map wins away from a set victory, sweeping Liiv Sandbox. Liiv Sandbox 2-map wins away from forcing an ace match. Let's see if fortune will favor the bold here on Forest Misty Falls. Two-star track coming in on this one, so no sirens, no big bananas, no scanners coming through. This is one of the interesting changes that we have with this patch coming into the new competitive season of KDL, is the meta shifting between maps based on their difficulty rating.
Absolutely, and this is going to be another 3-lapper track for us here. And if we learned anything from the previous one, it's that when you have 3 laps, it usually allows you to kind of idealize your item inventory, so you can kind of pick what you want and take time to really cycle through what you don't need. So I'm expecting to see perhaps things like these barricades being very effective.
Yeah, wow, double barricade into what was that, a water wisp right there on Hyunsu? Took so much damage. Got slowed down, fighting back is Liiv Sandbox, but cool, somehow a double shield. Able to skirt disaster right there and get through with not too much problem, and that's going to allow him and Seongnam to start to pull away from the pack, but Daldda right there with the magnet, able to close the distance, and wow, I think he actually blocked Cool right there on that jump. Cool is not able to take the shortcut.
Yeah, that was a pretty sick maneuver from Daldda there, and now he just needs to aim this missile onto Seongnam, but he knows perhaps? Okay, he didn't know. He's just going to use it anyways to trade that shield away.
I mean, just go through the attack if you can, right? I mean, if he has a shield, he has a shield. If he doesn't, at least you're going to be able to spin him out, as Daldda with some really nice maneuvers right there through those turns. And navigating through the barricades, Seongnam pops the shield to get the... I love this synergy right there from Liiv Sandbox. They fire the missile, and they pop the barricade at the same time. It's like, you can dodge one of these, but not the other.
Yeah, that was definitely a good call coming out from Liiv Sandbox, timing their attacks properly. But keep in mind that Seongnam keeps picking up shields after shields, and he's still holding on. Nope, not anymore. He pops the Angel, so now it's the chance for Liiv Sandbox to kind of send him back, but it's not looking good.
Yeah, JiMin was going to spin all the way off the map, so he just reset right there now, and 8th place is going to try and close the distance. But here in the final lap, it's going to come down to Daldda once again here for Liiv Sandbox, unless Hyunsu and Byungsu are able to pull a rabbit out of their hat. But World and Cool looking so good. 300 meters left to go. Cool gets slowed down, but KWANGDONG FREECS in a commanding position here. JiMin, he's trying to come up the ranks, but no, it's going to be a clean 1, 2, 3, 4 finish there for the FREECS, as they absolutely had Liiv Sandbox's number there on Forest Misty Falls.
And you can see KWANGDONG FREECS looking really happy about that dominating win. And you mentioned, State, that KWANGDONG FREECS, their weakness looked to be item mode, but so far here on the first day of the official season of KDL, they are 1 track away from winning against Liiv Sandbox.
Looking really good, and these are the kind of things that can happen with a big shakeup in item mode. Keep in mind, from KDL Preseason 1 to Preseason 2, we went from pro teams dominating in item mode to amateur teams kind of coming up as upstarts in item mode. And it felt like we had a lot of instances of amateur teams forcing aces against the pros through item mode. But now with another shakeup, maybe KWANGDONG FREECS, who historically they were good but not the best at item, now they can come through and actually deliver some sweeping finishes, as we're just going to keep this train rolling along. Potentially the final map here of item mode between the FREECS and Liiv Sandbox. It's going to be Graveyard Dark Castle.
We race off into our track number 4 of item. It was picked up by Liiv Sandbox themselves, and it is going to be a 2-star difficulty track, so we are sticking to that original roster of items once again.
Yeah, both Graveyard Dark Castle and World Tour London Night should Liiv Sandbox be able to force a track number 5, our 2-star track. So not going to see any of those new items here on this one. It's just classic item mode racing, but a lot faster because of all these gears.
Absolutely, and we can see right now Spear, he's got a double water bomb. I wonder when he's going to throw that one. Right now, he doesn't have an angle yet. Hyunsu sitting up with a lot of defensive capabilities.
Yeah, Hyunsu set up with double shield. Byungsu actually right behind him there had a shield for a moment, but I think he got caught by something as he fell all the way down to 7th place from 2nd. As we begin now the 2nd lap, Spear really close here to Hyunsu, but as you mentioned, the defensive versatility right there is so solid. He still has double shield, though those attacks are going to pop both of them.
And he picks up another one. Hyunsu is just the aggro absorber right now for Liiv Sandbox, as Daldda, he's going to be falling behind off of that one. Seongnam goes for a water bomb, and it does catch Hyunsu.
Yeah, that one does connect. I mean, the further up you get in the rankings, the higher your chance of proccing a shield once you pick up one of those item boxes. So Hyunsu, no surprise he was able to get a lot of those. And right now it's Daldda and Byungsu leading the pack, as Hyunsu falls a little bit lower down on the race. But Cool, oh man, with these attacks coming in, yes, he does have that magnet, but unless this UFO, okay, no EMP, so it does pop. Cool now able to utilize that magnet to start closing the distance. This is the final lap. Cool has to slow down to try to pick up some items because he knows he needs utility. to close the distance, but I feel like that might have been a little bit too much.
Yeah, Daldda right now looking really secure in this position. He's going to pop the Nitrous right there to try to lock in this lead completely. Now, Liiv Sandbox, they're trying to defend Daldda from these attacks.
And they're doing a fantastic job of it. Daldda's been able to gain so much distance. He still has that shield right now in the bag as the attacks are relentless here for Liiv Sandbox. Spear going to be the last hope, but only 150 meters away from the finish line is Daldda, and he is just going to full send it onto a victory. We're going once again to a track number 5.
Man, I love to see Daldda and Hyunsu kind of just working together in the front lines, taking turns absorbing the aggressive items, and this time around, that strategy has planned out perfectly. Liiv Sandbox, they won in such a dominating fashion here in track number 4, and once again, we go to that track number 5.
Yeah, and I love you pointing that out. I mean, Hyunsu, he was sitting in first place for a very long time, and he just had double shield after double shield after double shield, so when KWANGDONG FREECS were finally able to dispatch him, not just with regular attacks popping the shields, but also a UFO, if I'm not mistaken, that gave Daldda so much room to just launch himself through the ranks, and then the attacks from Liiv Sandbox on the back end were just relentless. They did not let up at all, did not give KWANGDONG FREECS any room to close the distance, and that's going to allow them to force a map number 5 here in item mode.
And we love to see the match number 5 always happening in an exciting matchup like this. And the track is going to be World Tour London Night.
Back to the classic streets of London to close this one out. With a 2-2 score, KWANGDONG FREECS, if they're able to be victorious here, they will sweep Liiv Sandbox both in speed mode and in item mode, although it will be a very close 3-2 in each of them. If Liiv Sandbox, however, is able to win this track, they will be able to force that ace match.
And whichever outcome comes out, both teams have fought so amicably today. And as we take a look at the standings up here, it feels like Daldda and Hyunsu, this is the strategy for Liiv Sandbox. Those two try to be at the runner positions, making sure that they have someone to take first place, while JiMin and Byungsu, they're more focused on gathering items. But keep in mind that JiMin and Byungsu, right now, they have the missiles ready.
Oh, Thunderbolt actually coming in is going to take a lot of the momentum away here from Liiv Sandbox. Spear going to try and close the distance, and Daldda getting caught up with a UFO. Shield's not going to help you against that one, buddy, but still, he does have enough distance ahead of the pack that he's still able to retain position number 1, and with double shield and Byungsu right behind him with a Nitrous and a shield. Oh, this Thunderbolt, though. Nice catch there with a shield.
It's all Byungsu right now. KWANGDONG FREECS versus Byungsu is happening here in lap number 2.
JiMin, he does have a Thunderbolt in his inventory, so keep in mind, that is a big utility item to come through here, a big attack that might be able to manifest, and KWANGDONG FREECS, they don't have too many shields in the inventories, although I say that and they pick up a couple more. Spear, cool, both rounding at the top with some shields, although Spear gets caught there by a big water balloon.
And I love the combination that Hyunsu is holding on to right now with the magnet and the boost. I feel like Liiv Sandbox is going to feel a lot more secure to try to control the positions in this final lap here.
Yeah, and Hyunsu, even if he does get passed by some attacks, he does have that Nitrous and the Magnet to be able to close this one out. Now, Daldda's going to try and come in. He actually just wants to take away some aggro, so he's going to fall back. Hyunsu right now, we're going all the way down to the finish line. Byungsu's in the lead. Hyunsu actually going to Magnet off of him to close the distance because he has that Nitrous in the bag. Spear coming in. He only has a shield. 15 meters left to go, but he navigates through the barricades, and he's able to work his way to first place. KWANGDONG FREECS, they are pumped up on stage. 3-2 win in speed mode, 3-2 win in item mode, and their success from KDL preseason 1 and 2 continues on. They continue to be really the ultimate challenge here for Liiv Sandbox, who have not been able to figure them out, and the Freaks are once again in a tremendous position to start off the regular season of KDL.
What a great day for the fans of KWANGDONG FREECS. I love that Spear at the end there was able to clutch that victory for his team. He took such a inner line that he was actually able to dodge the barricade in a manner where he was able to also get the best position to go into the finish line. It felt for a moment there that Liiv Sandbox, they had such a good control near the end. 2 players in 1-2, but all it took was just one Spear the player himself to dismantle Liiv Sandbox.
Yeah, he didn't have a nitrous or anything in the bag either. It was just pure raw racing. But you know, with these new gears, you pick up acceleration a lot faster coming out of a turn like that one. Spear was just able to barely cross that finish line ahead of Liiv Sandbox. And although it's often, you know, a race of meters or centimeters, that is, at the end of the day, how you become a champion, as KWANGDONG FREECS wins a nail-biter here against Liiv Sandbox. 3-2 in speed, 3-2 in item, and potentially their toughest opponent of, you know, the regular season before we go into the postseason already dispatched.
It is a phenomenal start here for KWANGDONG FREECS. The fact that they haven't had to even showcase some of their strategies in Ace Match by sending out World just means more advantage in the bag for them, just as you put it, State. And although Liiv Sandbox, they lost this time, we are going to see this matchup happen more and more throughout the season. So hopefully next time they're able to get us to at least that Ace Match.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see these teams once again face off in the postseason here of KDL. It just feels inevitable with how skilled both these rosters are from top to bottom. I mean, yes, the Freaks won in speed and they won in item mode, but both those races could have gone either way. I mean, a couple different changes happen in speed or an item on just one or two of those tracks, and we might have Liiv Sandbox emerging victorious 3-2, 3-2. It was so close from start to finish.
Yeah, and especially in the item mode, it felt to me that it's just so hard to determine who's going to win in item mode anymore, because it's literally just up to what kind of items you get and how fast you're able to devise a strategy off that. And we've seen that strategy sometimes being not even relying on the magnet boost as we have seen in the previous seasons. Like Spear, he was able to maneuver just with this raw skill, all of a sudden be able to take an advantage. And it also seems to me that barricades are proving to be really effective right now.
Yeah, I feel like the meta for item mode is going to be a lot more skill-based. It's going to favor people that have the mechanical ability to succeed in speed mode to also come into item mode. And I got to say, the patch changes, having seen pro players play with them here in the KDL, I mean, like, chef's kiss. Item mode is so much better now. It's so much fun. And this is just the beginning. We know the meta is going to evolve over the course of this season. And I could not be more excited to see what the future has in store for us.
I hope the future has a big banana, because for me, I still didn't see it today on the camera, you know?
Yeah, we only had, what was it? I think it was either 2 or 3 3-star maps. We didn't get any big bananas, but I want that big banana, man.
What's the drop rate on that thing? How come we can't see it?
Seems pretty low. Seems pretty low. I mean, maybe somebody in the back was able to pick one up, and we just didn't see it because we were watching the front. But I was watching the little item feed. I didn't see any big bananas. I want to see some big bananas, man.
Good thing we have another item match today, right?
Yeah, we got one more coming up in a little bit. But, man, what a banger match to start off KDL Season 1. That was really a treat from start to finish, not just in speed mode, but in item mode.
Yeah, but of course we are now ready to go on to the break. When we're back, we'll be featuring a match between FNL Esports and Seongnam ROX, so don't go anywhere.
ready to play now. Put me in the game now. I came here to prove it, I'm ready to do it, I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage now, I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an animal stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top. I'm ready to do this, show you what the truth is.
레이서 여러분 안녕하세요. 아나운서 최시연입니다. 다가오는 10월 드디어 KDL의 첫 정규 시즌 2023 KDL 본선이 시작됩니다. 프리시즌보다 더 커진 볼륨, 더 치열해진 경기 방식과 더불어 리그를 더욱 새롭게 즐길 수 있는 콘텐츠를 함께 준비하고 있는데요. 지금부터 KDL 팬 여러분을 위한 새로운 시즌 이벤트 KDL 팬 레이스를 소개해드리겠습니다. KDL 팬 레이스는 팬 여러분이 리그와 관련된 다양한 활동을 즐기고 부스터를 모아 나만의 레이스를 완주하는 컨셉의 시즌 이벤트입니다. KDL 팬 레이스 웹페이지를 통해 생방송 시청과 온라인 취업풀, 승부 예측, 주간 미션 콘텐츠 등 다양한 활동에 참여하실 수 있는데요. 획득한 트로피를 모아 팬 레이스 레벨을 올리면 각 레벨에 도달할 때마다 보상을 얻을 수 있습니다. 웹페이지에 로그인할 때는 넥슨 계정을 이용해야 하는 점 꼭 기억해주세요. 그럼 KDL 팬 레이스를 통해 획득할 수 있는 다양한 보상들을 알려드리겠습니다. KDL의 첫 정규 시즌을 기념하는 KDL 레이서 토비와 KDL 빅토리 이글 카트바디, KDL과 프로팀을 상징하는 풍선 엠블럼 스티커까지 응원하는 팀을 드러낼 수 있는 푸짐한 보상들이 여러분을 기다리고 있습니다. 획득한 보상들은 보상 수령 버튼을 클릭 후 인게임 우편함에서 수령 가능한데요. 그렇다면 이 아이템을 획득하기 위한 방법도 좀 더 자세히 알아볼까요? KDL 팬레이스의 경기 시청 페이지에서 생방송을 시청해 부스터를 획득하는 방법인데요. 더불어 경기 시청 페이지에서만 진행되는 실시간 투표, 퀴즈, 응원, 게임 미션 참여 시 부스터를 추가로 획득할 수 있습니다. 특히 이번 시즌에는 팀전 경기 종료 후 매치 MVP 투표가 진행돼 시즌 종료 후 매치 MVP에 최다 선정된 선수에게 MVP 선수상을 수여할 예정인데요. 투표는 생방송 중 KDL 팬레이스 웹페이지를 통해서만 참여 가능하니 투표 기회를 놓치지 마세요. 이제 직관을 가지 못해도 나만의 독창적인 취업풀 이미지를 공유할 수 있습니다. 온라인 취업풀 게시판에 직접 제작한 취업풀 이미지를 올리거나 마음에 드는 다른 팬의 취업풀에 좋아요를 표시할 수 있는데요. 리그 현장에서 취업풀을 만든 경우에도 직접 사진을 찍어 취업풀을 업로드할 수 있습니다. 방송일마다 게시판에 올려주신 이미지 중 주목할 만한 취업풀을 선정해 생방송에서 소개해드릴 예정인데요. 선정된 취업풀의 주인공에게는 추가 부스터와 넥슨 캐시를 드립니다. 리그 승부 예측도 보다 새로운 모습으로 돌아왔습니다. KDL 팬레이스의 승부 예측은 개막 1주차까지만 참여 가능한 시즌 예측과 각 경기 2일 전부터 참여 가능한 경기 예측으로 구성되어 있는데요. 보다 어려운 예측에 성공할 경우 더 많은 부스터를 얻을 수 있으니까요. 꼭 참여하셔서 여러분의 카자랄 능력 실컷 자랑해보시기 바랍니다. 매주 새롭게 찾아올 주간 미션도 준비되어 있는데요. 리그의 하이라이트와 새로운 기록을 기념하는 게임 플레이 미션을 클리어하면 부스터를 획득할 수 있습니다. 주간 미션은 매주 목요일 업데이트되며 그 다음 주 수요일까지만 참여 가능합니다. 부스터를 모아 아이템을 얻었다면 이번엔 응원하는 팀에게 힘을 실어주세요. 금주의 응원팀 이벤트가 여러분을 기다리고 있는데요. 매주 응원하는 팀을 선택하고 획득한 부스터를 응원하는 팀에게 모아주시면 됩니다. 각 팀은 매주 순위에 따라 굿즈를 획득하고 획득한 굿즈는 다시 팬 여러분께 돌려드립니다. 선수들을 응원하는 또 하나의 방법이 되어줄 금주의 응원팀 이벤트, 여러분의 많은 참여 부탁드립니다. 팬레이스와 더불어 더욱 풍성하게 돌아온 KDL. 프리시즌을 마치고 이제 본격적인 출발을 앞두고 있는데요. 모두가 기다려온 KDL의 첫 정규 시즌, 팬레이스와 함께 지금 바로 달려보시죠.
My name in your mouth, better add your respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is to throw. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone. Throw it off in my brain and I'm bad to the bone.
분들이 피날레 팀하고 저희하고 라이벌 관계라고 생각하시는데 저희는 더 높은 곳을 바라보고 있기 때문에 저는 전혀 라이벌 관계라고 생각하지 않고 있습니다.
브락스 좀 빠졌는데 그게 팀인가?
종 선수가 빠졌어도 제가 있으니까 전력 비슷하지 않을까요? 락스는 사실 뭐 아마추어 팀이죠.
필라레는 예선도 쉽게 못 올라오는 팀인데 저희를 이길 생각을 한다는 것 자체가 좀 제가 생각하기엔 좀 웃긴 것 같습니다.
그냥 저희한테 지고 포스트 시즌도 못 가고 마무리 될 것 같은데요?
네, 진짜 예선이 쉽지가 않아요. 요즘 선수들이 다 너무 잘해가지고
이번에 예선을 나왔다면 떨어졌을 팀이었을 것 같은데 프로팀 버프 받아서 예선 패스해서 좋으시겠어요?
우리가 그래도 좀 양심적으로 1점은 따일 것 같으니까 한 6대1 정도로 이겨주고요. 아직 저희는 보여줄 게 아직 많다고 생각해요.
Welcome back, everybody, to day one of the KDL Season 1. We just got treated to an absolutely thriller match between the KWANGDONG FREECS and Liiv Sandbox, but now it is time for Team Finale to go up against Seongnam ROX on stage in the second team match of the night.
And here comes in Finale Esports. As the players have talked about in their interviews, they had a rough path, we could say, coming here to the main stage of KDL. The preliminaries, it was not an easy sailing, but if you take a look at the roster, this is essentially the old ROX esports that we saw in preseason 2. So these players are very good at kart rider, and they have still so much more to show us.
It's a bit of an interesting shakeup as rosters have shifted coming into the regular season. Dutzy and Planzy, formerly the item ace there of Team ROX, are now on this new assembled Finale squad, as a lot of these teams are just re-kitting, retooling, trying to piece together all of the missing puzzles that they need to become champions here in Kart Rider. As now Seongnam ROX comes to the stage, Looning, Acid Fly, Bong Navi, and Lens all coming on. And keep in mind, Looning, he was the former speed ace of Team Aura. It's going to be the speed ace here again. Lens, of course, the item ace, is so clutch in those item moments. But both these squads looking very different from what we saw from them in the previous seasons.
Yeah, and this is going to be the first showing that we get of this completely new Seongnam ROX roster. So we are super excited to see it happen against the old ROX. So there, a lot of the people are kind of just saying it's the new ROX versus old ROX, and we got to see who's better now.
Yeah, it's a fun little dynamic, of course. Jung not competing in Kart Rider Drift League this season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Peter, we were talking about this before coming live, as I believe he's focusing on his studies now.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, there's a lot to say about that. That guy came in through the preseasons, first playing PC Kart Rider, and absolutely crushed it. Was one of the most unstoppable forces we have ever seen in Kart Rider Drift League, or Kart Rider League in general, when it came to ace matches. As Finale says, even after 10 years, your career high is going to be PS2. But just going back to Jung, man, it's going to be a little bit sad competing here with Adam, who's my favorite player to watch, but I hope he's doing well. And I got to say, I still think this ROX esports squad that we have on stage, newly assembled, they certainly have what it takes to make a deep run and potentially vie for a postseason spot.
And of course, the key player here is going to be Looning, because he is the preseason 2 solo champion. So a lot of the players and fans kind of just have their eye on Looning to become one of the main carries, the crucial roles for Seongnam ROX. And indeed it is. I feel like when you look at this roster, it's not looking as packed as some of the other pro teams, but it's still not missing its core elements.
Yeah, Bong also did very well for Team Sensation in preseason too, and so there's a lot to look forward to with this new ROX roster, and they say themselves, we are looking forward to it. Let's make an exciting match. I love that optimism. Oftentimes when you come on a stage For the first time with a newly assembled roster like this, even if you have a couple of pieces of the old team together, it can be really hard to kind of gel and make sure they're communicating correctly, that you have the right chemistry, that you have the right reads on exactly what to do in which situation. So for both Finale Esports and Seongnam ROX here, looking at the speed track list, I feel like whoever wins this one is just going to be the team that's gelling better.
Yeah, and Finale, they got speed priority, so they managed to pick up the tracks. And we can see a mix of the classic and the new one, the Mexico Touring Rally. As we see ROX Esports, they chose a lot of the newer ones. The WKC Brazil Circuit was newly introduced in Preseason 2. And now here in the official season, Village Handy Harbor is another new one.
Yeah, Mexico Touring Rally too, if I'm not mistaken. So we have a couple of classic maps, and then should we go to round 4, round 5, we're going to spice it up a little bit here in speed mode. And of course, as you said, Finale Esports with priority, they chose that. It was a coin flip win. They were able to choose whether they want to get advantage in drafting speed mode or in item mode. They took speed mode, and Village Boom Hill Tunnel was their track of choice here to kick things off against Seongnam ROX as we start team match number 2 here at day 1 of the KDL regular season.
We race off into Village Boom Hill Tunnel. This is going to be the first round between Seongnam ROX and Finale as we take a look at what new strategies they bring to their debut match of the KDL official season. It's looking like Hong and Dutzy. This is the 1-2 combo we are keeping our eyes on.
Yeah, Hong making his team debut in this match. This is a young player who made appearances before in Kart Rider League as an individual racer in the solo matches, but now here at Team Finale. And his debut performance in team matches off to a fantastic start, leading the pack right now in position number 1.
But keep in mind that ROX does have a complete control over the midfield, and it's really difficult to maintain that 1-2 throughout the whole race, as you see Looning doing just that right now. So I would give the advantage over to ROX if they manage to keep a player like Ding behind.
Yeah, but for Dutzy right now, I mean, he is vying for a really tight spot, actually going up for, I can't remember if that's the NEAL build or the Jung build or whoever's cool build it is going up on that rocket.
No.
Oh no, looting the speed ace. Some uncharacteristic missteps. They're going to lose a lot of momentum here. And keep in mind, this is a one-lapper, but Looning able to recover for now, but no, too short on that one.
Yeah, this is looking pretty dire right now. Finale in the lead barely with their positional advantage. 1-3-6-7 is going to be the win condition here for Finale.
And that's got to be a painful loss there for ROX Esports. Is Looning coming on to this new roster as a speed ace, as one of the best individual racers is in the business, and a couple of missteps there has him falling all the way down to 8th rank in the podium. And you know, should he have placed a little bit higher, you think that ROX Esports might have been able to come away with a victory. But Finale's Hong, it is team debut. A tremendous performance out of him. You would think that for a player like that coming onto this big stage here, competing in the regular season on a team, the pressure would get to him, but no. Hong just absolutely delivering from the get-go, showing why Finale wanted to pick him up. Excellent choice by them so far.
And an excellent choice on the track as well, because the next track is going to be ROX's choice, and Finale, if they can win on that one, we might take a look at a repeat of what happened earlier today, where the 2-0 might be the lead to begin. But now, for track number 2, we are getting into WKC Brazil Circuit.
And off we go on the streets of the Brazil Circuit. Finale Esports leading 1-0 in this best of 5 as we make our way very quickly into this first wide sweeping turn. Woojin and Acid Fly battling for the top spots right now. Everyone taking the left side. Occasionally we have a player going for a build, or they just try to develop themselves on the right side. But I think with a patch change, with the lack of boost gauge getting depleted by collisions, we have a lot more players gunning for that left side.
That is absolutely what's happening right now, and so far Woojin has been able to stay uncontested, but keep in mind he doesn't have much of a backup because ROX, they are controlling that midfield so excellently. Dutzy, he's trying to catch up, and he goes for the inner line, and that's going to give him the room.
Yeah, but it's a very tight race right here at the stop, and ROX Esports, Acid Fly and Looning are just moments away from being able to pass. So luckily for both of them, taking that tight inner line, they were not going to collide with that tire, so still in contention, but Wucha doing a great job of holding on to that first place position here at the end of lap number 1, but Looning was able to build up a little bit more nitrous gauge on that straightaway. He's vying for that number 1 spot. Acid Fly still right behind him in 4th.
Yeah, right now it's looking pretty close between ROX and Finale, but as we say that, Acid Fly, he comes in all of a sudden striking in and putting such a disarray into the roster of Finale.
Yeah, Acid Fly, he took that turn not to optimize for himself, but to try to cause problems for Team Finale, and he absolutely did that. Now coming all the way down in 3rd place, ROX Esports is starting to solidify their position in the center of the map, with Looting continuing to lead here on this track. He's still in 1st place. Acid Fly right behind him there in 2nd and 3rd, changing hands with Ding.
And it seems like ROX, they have a pretty firm position right now. And as I say that, Finale, they are making a comeback. So if Ding can take over Looning, that might be what Finale needs. But Looning is holding on to that 1st place so tight. And Acid Fly comes in to finish the 1-2 combo.
Yeah, it's a T. Trying to go for a little bit of a break check right there on Acid Fly. Thinking, okay, well, maybe if I can block Acid Fly in the most absolute Hail Mary risky play, we'll be able to come through with a 2-3-4 finish. I love the attempt there, but not able to manifest it in reality, and ROX Esports going to tie things up 1-1.
It feels like these two teams are super evenly matched so far in speed because they exchange the controls so many times throughout the race. There's no team that's clearly controlling the midfield at all times, so I feel like it can go either way today in speed.
Yeah, oftentimes I feel like we watch matches go head-to-head between teams, and when that happens, it's usually one team consolidating the midfield more often than not, and the other team, if they come through with a win, it's them somehow getting a 1-2 punch right there at the top. But I love what you said. This one, it feels competitive from top to bottom in this lobby. It's not just players going for 1-2 finishes. The whole middle field is in contention, and it's changing hands constantly as we go from lap to lap. And we'll expect to see that pressure continue to build here as we move on to track number 3, a classic, as we go to Glacier Extreme Stadium.
We race off into speed round 3. Both teams tied 1 apiece right now. And just as you put it, Ryan, Glacier Extreme Stadium is a really classic one. So we could expect better performance out of Finale because they are the veterans and they have the better teamwork because they were the previous ROX. And you have to wonder if that's going to reflect on this match.
Yeah, I mean, Finale certainly has a lot of experience on this map. One of the classics is those hairpin turns, absolutely iconic. Leading up into the finish line here, one of the most iconic tracks, in my opinion, in the entire KDL. And for now, heading into the hairpin turns for the first time, some big collisions. And ROX Esports getting the better end of the trade. It's Looning and Navi right now leading the charge, but let's see if the experience can lead these tight inner lines to come through for Team Finale. Seems like a little bit, but keep in mind, they got 4 players in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, that is absolutely what they need. However, the distance between Woojin and Navi is too big right now, so Woojin's going to have to take the riskier turns to try to close the gap. As we see on the mini-map, Boong and Acid Fly are so far behind that ROX, they need to keep up this 1-2 no matter what.
And I actually love what was highlighted there on the mini-map. I believe Acid Fly, knowing that he's pretty much locked into position number 8, was just trying to build the team boost gauge to the best of his ability to give Looning, to give Navi, to give Bong the faster blue nitrous if possible. And so we'll see if that pays dividends here as ROX Esports continuing to maintain their lead here in the top 2, coming into the hairpin turns again. Finale, if they want to make a play to win this track, it has to happen right now. Ding coming into the first hairpin turn, slowly closing the distance. Will he be able to pass Navi? He got really close, but I don't know if he's going to be able to stop the 1-2 punch.
It seems like Looney and Navi have this one in the bag. No mistakes were made on that jump, and it is the 1-2 punch, securing the victory for ROX Esports.
I love what Finale tried there, especially coming into those hairpin turns. I mean, they made every single possible effort to close the distance, and they absolutely did by what felt like meters. But at that point, the lead from ROX Esports' top 2 racers was just out of this world. And by the way, I love this before. I think we used to have static images on the main screen when a team won, but now it's like we got a little bit of a boomerang action going down. As you can see them moving across.
Yeah,
it's
they're
sick.
actually animated.
Yeah, they're animated, man. It's dope. Everything in KDL is better. The racing is better. The The items are better. The maps are better. Even what we got on stage is better. It's so hype here in the regular season.
This is what we've been building up for, after all, the whole entire 2023, from the release of Kart Rider Drift to the preseasons. Now this is where the most important things all come together to create this beautiful KDL match.
Let's not forget that prize pool. Highest it has been here in the KDL, 100 million Korean won. Somewhere around $75,000 to first place here. A lot of money on the line, and that's just for first place, as these guys are going to try and do everything they can to make it to the postseason. Let's see them fight it out on Village Handy Harbor. Seongnam ROX leading 2-1 right now as we go into track number 4 here in speed mode. A win will secure this speed victory for them and put them on their path to getting that first match win overall here in the standings. And now with the postseason and the regular season expanding from 4 teams to 5 teams with a wild card later on in the year, I mean, this is just exactly the spot that you want to be in as a newly formed Seongnam ROX roster.
And finally, Dutzy, he was able to break apart the 1-2-3-4 coming out of ROX. They've been maintaining it for so long now that ROX is looking just so dominant at the moment. Keep in mind, Boong and Acid Fly, they can even do sweeping because Navi and Looning are so far away.
That's all Acid Fly is trying to do, and he's doing a fantastic job of it. It's like watching a pinball machine or something. It just keeps bouncing off one finale player to the next. Even able to pass once again, but he's not trying to speed away. He's not using these nitrous to gain pathing. And oh my, this is the best sweeping that we've seen in a long time. Nobody can pass Acid Fly. Woojin's gonna try. Acid Fly takes the tight inner. He maintains the lead. Okay, finally there, he makes a little bit of a step up, but that's after a 1v4 that spanned what felt like half a minute, and now it's Bong. He comes to a complete standstill in that shortcut. And just look at the mini-map. Look at the lead that the sweeping was able to deliver for Acid Fly and Bong. That is top tier teamwork. And I'm sorry to kind of railroad you on that one, Peter. It was just non-stop. The blocking was so good there from Team ROX. I mean, 1-2, it's a win condition. And that, I mean, you can see how happy they are on stage about that. That was clinical.
Instead of watching Acid Fly, it felt like we were watching Acid Wall, because it took one player from ROX to completely lock in the 4 members of Finale, and off that win, Seongnam ROX do manage to win speed. It felt like Looning and Navi were just playing a time trial mode.
By 2 seconds. 2 seconds is an eon in professional kart rider drift. That was just absolutely remarkable there for Seongnam ROX. And what a way to deliver the 3-1 victory here over Team Finale. That was a phenomenal performance. I'm trying to think back to KDL Preseason 2 and Preseason 1, and I don't think I have seen blocking or sweeping of that caliber since like maybe this one track on Construction Chaos is like the only one that comes to mind. I can't remember exactly who was able to pull it off. I believe I casted that one with Wolf if memory serves, but this is right up there with it. That was just non-stop action there by Acid Fly, and you can tell even the moment that he finally loses the 1v4, he just communicates it to the team. He's like, okay, I'm gonna pass the baton. Now it's your turn to wall him off, and it was just perfection. I mean, you love to see that kind of excellence coming out from players of this caliber.
That was the first time that we got to see Village Handy Harbor here in KDL, and it was a perfect way that it was played out, State. But of course now we are moving into the item mode, so the item maces have been swapped in, and now we can take a look at the item track list. And ROX, they do have priority in item mode because Finale, they took speed priority, so they managed to take London Night, Dark Castle, Magma Cavern, whereas Finale, they actually focus on all the new tracks, Forest Misty Falls and San Francisco's Seaplane Base.
Yeah, I like this. We got some 2 classic tracks right there at the beginning and the end, sandwiching all these nice new ones right there in the middle. 2, 3, 4. I'd love to see Misty Falls, Dark Castle, and San Francisco Seaplane Base. I'm originally from the San Francisco Bay Area, so I'm going to be looking curiously around this map, see if I can find my house.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to look.
I was
not that close to San Francisco. I was like an hour out. But that's cool, man. I mean, that's one of the great things about the developers delivering such beautiful maps that feature different parts of the world is you can always kind of relate to something, whether it's here on London night, whether it's San Francisco, whether it's Mexico or Brazil or Shanghai. You'll love to see it. Let's kick off item mode here between FNL and ROX Esports on World Tour London night.
We begin our item round 1 between Seongnam ROX and Finale Esports on a 2-star difficulty track. So we are once again sticking to our original roster of items.
Yeah, worth noting that the first 3 tracks that are going to be played here in item mode are all 2-star. But should we go to that final 4th and 5th track, San Francisco Seaplane Base and Mine Magma Cavern, those are 3-stars. So the new items are going to come out.
Absolutely, and if we know anything about London Night, it's that the first 2 laps are really all about gathering items, because in the final moment of lap 3, that is where you need to make sure that you have at least a booster or a magnet to catch up, and hopefully some form of angel from your teammates so that you're able to speed into the finish line.
Look at that heart right there. Clancy right now is sitting at 143 beats per minute, but I believe we saw Bong above 150, nearing 160. So these guys playing out of their absolute mind right now. You can see for a lot of players on both Finale and ROX Esports, the pressure is real here on stage, and it's a hotly contested match. Bong right now, rookie coming in here for Team Finale, is in first place. Oh, look at that block right there onto Looning. He catches him on the corner. Looning loses so much momentum, throws the water balloon. It was good, but Hong with his shield able to block it out.
That was definitely a sick play from Hong. I love that already on his first day of debut on KDL. He is really starting to stand out with a lot of these plays, but keep in mind that ROX, they have a big lead right now here in lap number 3. That double water bomb, however, is going to shake things up.
Yeah, Bong right now going to try and find an angle to come through. Goes with a rocket. I believe that was blocked by a shield, and now Ding in first place is Acid Fly taking a bit of damage. Now keep in mind, this is the 3rd and final lap. Lens, he only has a shield and an EMP. Not a lot of opportunities for him to catch up. He cycles out the shield, he picks up a banana. Not much better. So for ROX Esports right now, it's all up to Lens and Acid Fly. 500 meters to go. Some aggro is absorbed, but oh, this UFO is big, Peter.
It is so big. That's double UFO right there. Ding is able to capitalize off that fully, and he gets a nice lead for himself to win his team Finale Esports a victory.
Man, they got to be feeling really good about that one. You can see their hands go into the air as they are pumped up with that victory here in item mode. Everything just aligned right there in those final moments on London night, as Ding was able to cross the finish line first and deliver the win for his teammates. But you can just tell from the heart rate monitors, and again, what a wonderful addition to the broadcast and the show here, to be able to see exactly how the game is affecting these players. And it felt like every single gamer on Team Finale, their heart rate was through the roof. They know that if they want to have a successful season, it has to start here now. It's the new ROX against the old ROX, so to speak, with Finale Esports against a rekitted and retooled ROX Esports. And for ROX, they really want to close this one out with an item mode win, but Finale looking to fight back strong.
And this happened back in Speedbone as well, where Finale, they were able to take the first round. So this is a pretty nice sign for them. We just hope that it doesn't repeat like how it did in Speed, where ROX instantly shot back with a 3-1. But honestly, so far here, it feels like in item mode, it felt like it was a lot closer here. Or no, not closer. I mean to say, it's actually a lot more different, the skill level between the teams here in item mode, at least from what I've seen this first track. And especially that water bomb hitting so many players, that was a crucial moment in lap 3.
I mean, it always comes down to the finish line here on World Tour London night, more so than I feel like any other item track, is those attacks. They have to be clutch, and oftentimes the players that are in position to try and gain ground, they don't really have the items set up. It feels like you're not able to cycle through enough items to really have the wombo combo every single time. It's very dangerous, but that's the way it goes. As we move on to track number 2, it's gonna be Forest Misty Falls. And off we go on Forest Misty Falls. We'll see if Finale can continue to compound this 1-0 lead. 2 map wins away from forcing an ace match here against Seongnam ROX. And wow, what a water balloon.
Yeah, that is a fantastic water balloon to start things off. And this is going to be a 3-lapper here. We've had a look into Forest Misty Falls already, so it doesn't feel too strange. And if there's anything that we've seen, it does feel like an extremely long track.
It does feel a little bit longer. I don't know if it actually is in practicality, but it does have that kind of vibe to it. The World Tour London Night, it's another 3-lapper, but it feels that thing is over in, you know, a blink of the eye. But here, oh, Clancy coming in, actually blocking one of those attacks. For a moment, I thought he was going to try and block a lens as he got attacked there, but in fact, not able to do it. And it's going to be Acid Fly and Bong leading the charge.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the minimap right now, Acid Fly, he has a tremendous lead. And Boong and Langs, they're pretty much just around to absorb a lot of the attacks. Finale, fortunately, they're able to pick up a lot of the nitrous they need in order to try to get back into the range of Acid Fly.
Yeah, but these attacks have just been so solid from Team ROX. I mean, look at the minimap. Acid Fly is still very far ahead, and now with Luning and Bong both ahead of him, they're going to eat some of this aggro. I mean, they don't mind too much getting hit by this because that sets them up for water wisps like that one, the one that connects with Hong. And so for Team Finale, they're in a lot of trouble. Luning, yeah, okay, you're going to hit me. I'm going to absorb that aggro. How many shields do you have, though? Because he has both a rocket and a water wisp. So many attacks coming through. You can barely see Acid Fly now. I think finally, once this Thunderbolt comes in, if Acid Fly has no shield, they will be able to close the distance, but it has been a gauntlet for Team Finale to try to stop him.
Absolutely, Acid Fly, he is holding on to both his defensive itemization, but actually, he gets set back quite a bit there, so now the pressure's on Boom.
Boom is going to have to make something happen, only an Angel Shield and a shield. But the UFO, double UFO, in fact, coming through. And keep in mind, Pansy still has that Thunderbolt in his back pocket. Ding actually has one as well. We're going to see a combination like preseason 2 with these Thunderbolts coming in. 300 meters to go. The Lightning Bolts are coming through, and Team Finale is going to be able to ride that to a victory, 2-0. And those Thunderbolts were so effective. It's a 1-2-3-4 finish.
Man, as I was saying earlier, State, that it feels like when it comes to item mode, it's not as close as it was in speed mode. That is really showing through because I feel like Finale, they are so much more dominant right now over ROX when it comes to item mode. Because no matter how the race is going in the first 2 laps, it feels like by the final lap, they have figured out the strategy to dismantle their opponents, and they've done it so well. A 1-2-3-4 is a perfect representation of your team's control.
Yeah, Clancy, the former item ace for Team ROX, I'm sure is a critical part of that success here for Finale, as they seem to have a very good read on this new item mode meta. Not just the new tracks, but also keep in mind, you know, should we go on to a round number 4, round number 5, we are going to start seeing those new items. They are 3-star difficulty tracks, so that is in the cards, but I kind of love it. Playing on those 2-star tracks for Double Thunderbolt, knowing that it can't get scanned, that your opponent's not going to prepare for it. But let's see if we're even going to go to a track number 4 or track number 5, because it could all end right here on Graveyard Dark Castle.
We head off into item round 3. This could be the match point for Finale Esports. If they win, then we will be going to an ace match. So Finale, they need to keep their mentals secure because they have 3 more tracks to be played potentially. They just need to win 1.
Yeah, they seem to be playing very well so far here in item mode. Just everything coming together, whether it be attacks, whether it be just running away with it, as we saw on the previous track. And for now, it seems like Dutsy's going to be the one that's going to just try and go as best he can, although he doesn't have a lot of defensive utility. He's got a rocket and an EMP, not the best items to have in your leading position. He will cycle one of those out for a shield. Oh, actually popped the shield right after he got hit with a water balloon, if I'm not mistaken. So a little bit of a hiccup there for Team Finale.
Finale did lose a lot of lead off that, but fortunately they have a UFO to slow down Boong as well. Boong and Luning, the duo for ROX right now, they're holding on to a water wisp and some defensive options.
Yeah, but this UFO and then also I think maybe a rocket just really taking the wind out of Boong's sails, and now it's going to be Luning, one of the best speed racers in the world, going to try and get speedy here in item mode. But the attacks once again coming through from Team Finale, and really a remarkable recovery. It was looking good for ROX Esports, but now we have Ding in first place, at least for a moment. But right behind him, you have Hong, you have Boong, you have Clancy, you have all these players. It's such a tight field.
And if we take a look at the item inventory right now, Hong, he's holding on to a EMP, which is not helpful against any of these attacks. So ROX, they just managed to dodge that water bomb beautifully, and now they are trying to fight the control and kick Dutzy out.
And ROX Esports, although they have a lot of players here in the front, there was a bunch of nitrous saved there by Team Finale, so they close the distance. Angel Shield gets blocked, absorbing a lot of this aggro coming in, but Lens, the lead racer there for ROX Esports gets slowed down. Water balloon pops, but it's too far in front. And now Boong is going to try and catch Plancy. Shield pops, blocks the rocket coming in, but there you go. The water bomb connects.
Dutzy, he's holding on to a magnet right now as well as a water wisp, so this is pretty scary for Boong. He doesn't have an EMP wave. Finale, they have 3 players in the back right now. Looning gets slowed down by the magnet. Hong, he spins out of control as well. And in the end, it's Plancy who comes in first for Finale Esports.
Wow, I'm impressed with your play-by-play there because that was too much chaos for me to follow. I was just mouth agape watching that happen. And Plancy, by the thinnest of margins, was able to take first place with 3 ROX Esports racers right behind him. It was so close, but Finale absolutely dominating here in Team Item overall in the set. If I'm not mistaken, a 3-0 victory to force what is going to be an ace match in spectacular fashion. What was that? Was it that was like 100th or 200ths of a second or something separating first and second? Just crazy.
Yeah, that was such a crazy way to end off that track number 3 that I thought it could go either way, to be honest. But this is what I pointed out about Finale. It doesn't matter the progress that it took to get to that final lap. Once they're actually there, it feels like the whole team is just in unison and they know exactly what to do. And that might come from the fact that they were previously bonded together as a team in ROX Esports in preseason 2, and that experience is really coming to shine right now.
I mean, especially Plancy being the former item ace of Team ROX. Having him on your roster is going to help a ton coming into situations like that one, as well as Felice. You know, now that rosters have expanded to six potential members as the max, he is officially on the roster, but you know, he's one of the best coaches in the business, and that's paying dividends right now for Team Finale, as they seem to have one of the better grips on the item mode meta coming into this one after a significant shakeup from the past patch.
Yeah, and one funny thing that I would like to point out is the story behind Coach Feliz joining in as a 6th player. He said that he did it because his teammates were so bad and he couldn't trust them. He was saying he was getting mad at his players that he was like, you know what, guys, I'm playing, screw this.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's what it said in the sheets, you know, the introductions, and I was like, damn.
Oh my goodness.
That's hilarious.
I wonder how much of that is true and how much is just him just,
yeah, it could be a joke, but it's funny.
Around, but that is really funny. Oh man, I'm so sad I missed that. That's incredible. All right, fellas, we have the ace match coming. We're gonna find out what the track is going to be at, oh man, Glacier Extreme Stadium to close it out here between Team Finale and Seongnam ROX. All gonna come down to a 1v1. So we're waiting to see who the racers are gonna be on each team.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some decorated player names on each side, and it is going to be Looning for ROX and Thing for Finale Esports.
Yeah, no surprise there with Looning coming in from Team ROX, the former speed ace of Aura, a team that did quite well during the preseason, and Ding as well. I mean, him plus Zhong as a 1-2 punch was so devastating previously. So now coming in here with Finale Esports, Looning versus Ding. Old ROX versus new ROX, as they say, in a 1v1 match to decide the outcome of this game.
And this is going to be the first ace match of our KDL official season. We are excited to take you guys to Glacier Extreme Stadium for our 1v1 match.
It all comes down to this. Looning versus Ding. Looning from Team ROX in the blue, Ding in the red, as Looning is off to a better start, but let's keep in mind there are a lot of different opportunities here for both players to potentially close the distance, and keep your eyes on those heartbeats there in the bottom left right now. Ding right behind Looning at 147 beats per minute, Looning at 129. Have to see how the pressure is going to affect both of these players coming closer and closer to that finish line.
Yeah, and right now it seems like Looning, he did have a slight advantage in the boost gauge as well as the position. So the ball is in Looning's court right now. He just needs to watch out for things draft timings.
Yeah, but I mean, these hairpin turns are so opportune for passing. Okay, Ding able to take first place for now. Looning on this final turn will be able to close the distance. He did a little bit. That's a nicer angle coming in. With this draft, he should be able to close the distance even more entering lap number 2, but these racers are neck and neck. No one really losing too much ground, Ding a little bit ahead in the nitro gain.
Yeah, right now Looning, he's in the challenger position once again, but as long as he stays within the draft range, he can time that perfectly and actually make the ball in his court once again, which is what we're seeing Looning doing.
And Looning right now baking nitrous just a little bit more, using draft to maintain speed with Ding and then trying to catapult himself with these nitrous. It is evening up a little bit with Ding doing some fantastic body blocking on these turns. And Peter, I think it's probably going to come all the way down to the hairpins.
And keep in mind that Ding's heartbeat got faster while Looning's, he's more calm right now. So I feel like Looning, he's really focused. He knows that he can still win this. He's going for the draft very soon.
Coming on the hairpin turns, these one might tell the tale, and they're neck and neck coming down this home stretch. 500 meters left to go. Ding's heart rate about to eclipse 170. Looning takes the pass right there. He's in first place. The draft is not going to come through, and he is going to be victorious here and deliver the victory for Team ROX. The Speed Ace coming in from Aura onto this new roster, this newly formed Seongnam ROX esports team, and in their debut performance with this new lineup, they are coming through with a win here in the regular season.
What a way to show off their talents here on their first day of KDL official season, and they did it against an opponent they had so much to prove because it was against the previous ROX. They had to show that this new ROX lineup does deserve that pro title, and absolutely they do. You can see Looning, he's so hyped about it. When we saw his heartbeat, he was focused even in the most tense moments, and that focus was able to get him a victory against Ding.
I mean, you could really see how well he's able to perform under pressure. That's why he was the Speed Ace on Team Aura. It's why his team trusted him to come through in the ace match. But let's not forget, Finale had a really tremendous showing in their opening match. Yes, they did lose in speed mode, but they were dominant there at Item, and I think once they come back, they're going to do fantastic. There's a lot of potential on both of these rosters, and again, with the expanded postseason format that we have with a wildcard team entering the fray, it's the top 5 instead of the top 8 heading into the postseason. Every match is going to matter, every point is going to matter, every track win is going to matter, because those tiebreakers, believe me, they are inevitable, and both these teams today showcased some tremendous games.
Absolutely, and in the end, it is going to be Seongnam ROX being victorious over their opponent, Finale Esports here. In speed, they were dominant 3-1. In Item, that's where they got shaken up 0-3, but in Ace match, it was Looning who showed up against Ding, one of our most decorated players here in KDL.
Yeah, really a fantastic win here for ROX Esports. I think you look at this one as ROX, you're happy with the win, but you might have to go a little bit back to the drawing board when it comes to item mode, because if this continues to be a problem as we advance further and further into the season, we have seen teams potentially miss the playoffs because of lacking in just one mode, whether it be item mode or speed mode. You really have to be a very well-rounded team to excel in this team mode format. So ROX Esports, I'm going to keep my eye on them, potentially next Wednesday or on Saturday, whenever their next match is, and see what kind of adjustments they make coming into item mode to hopefully deliver another win.
But the fact that ROX Esports is here winning their first match off an ace match is kind of iconic to me, because it reminds me of the history we had in the preseason where Jung, he was able to solo carry the team ROX Esports in preseason 1 by winning enough ace matches to keep their playoff streams alive. And Looning, he's looking to start that history for himself.
I mean, going back to preseason 1, I mean, I don't have the notes in front of me, but if memory serves, I think every single one of their regular season wins was on the back of Jung in an ace match. And if not all of them, then probably all but one. He was so unstoppable. So to continue that history right here in the first regular season of KDL, now that we've advanced beyond the preseason and have Looning come through as the ace, the former speed ace of Team Aura, and deliver that win for Team ROX, as you said, it's iconic. It's been their bread and butter, it's been their winning formula, and if they can continue to keep that up, I think another postseason berth is in the cards for them, absolutely.
Yeah. Today was such a good day to open up our KDL Day 1 state. I feel like we just got to witness two great rivalries happen. In the first match of the day, it was Guangdong Freaks once again proving to be the more dominant team against Liiv Sandbox so far in this iteration of Kartrider. But this time it was Seongnam ROX for the second match, showing why they have that pro team title. You know, they were being questioned because they didn't play through the preliminaries. The players were making fun of them in the interview, saying, hey, I think if the new ROX played in the preliminaries, they might not have made it out. But this was a strong way to show that those players were wrong.
Yeah, they deserve to be here. Absolutely. And, you know, let's not forget we're only 2/3 of the way done with the day. We had some really exciting team matches to kick things off. And later on, we have a round of 32 solo match. You can see right there on the screen, NEAL, World, Daldda, Hong, Squad, Scarlet, JiMin, Monster. I believe 3 players that got top 8 in, if not one, but both preseasons, and a couple of rookies too. It should be a really fun lineup.
Yeah, after this break, we'll be back with that match, so don't go anywhere.
Fight
레이서 여러분 안녕하세요. 아나운서 최시연입니다. 다가오는 10월 드디어 KDL의 첫 정규 시즌 2023 KDL 본선이 시작됩니다. 프리시즌보다 더 커진 볼륨, 더 치열해진 경기 방식과 더불어 리그를 더욱 새롭게 즐길 수 있는 콘텐츠를 함께 준비하고 있는데요. 지금부터 KDL 팬 여러분을 위한 새로운 시즌 이벤트 KDL 팬 레이스를 소개해드리겠습니다. KDL 팬 레이스는 팬 여러분이 리그와 관련된 다양한 활동을 즐기고 부스터를 모아 나만의 레이스를 완주하는 컨셉의 시즌 이벤트입니다. KDL 팬 레이스 웹페이지를 통해 생방송 시청과 온라인 취업풀, 승부 예측, 주간 미션 콘텐츠 등 다양한 활동에 참여하실 수 있는데요. 획득한 트로피를 모아 팬 레이스 레벨을 올리면 각 레벨에 도달할 때마다 보상을 얻을 수 있습니다. 웹페이지에 로그인할 때는 넥슨 계정을 이용해야 하는 점 꼭 기억해주세요. 그럼 KDL 팬 레이스를 통해 획득할 수 있는 다양한 보상들을 알려드리겠습니다. KDL의 첫 정규 시즌을 기념하는 KDL 레이서 토비와 KDL 빅토리 이글 카트바디, KDL과 프로팀을 상징하는 풍선 엠블럼 스티커까지 응원하는 팀을 드러낼 수 있는 푸짐한 보상들이 여러분을 기다리고 있습니다. 획득한 보상들은 보상 수령 버튼을 클릭 후 인게임 우편함에서 수령 가능한데요. 그렇다면 이 아이템을 획득하기 위한 방법도 좀 더 자세히 알아볼까요? KDL 팬레이스의 경기 시청 페이지에서 생방송을 시청해 부스터를 획득하는 방법인데요. 더불어 경기 시청 페이지에서만 진행되는 실시간 투표, 퀴즈, 응원, 게임 미션 참여 시 부스터를 추가로 획득할 수 있습니다. 특히 이번 시즌에는 팀전 경기 종료 후 매치 MVP 투표가 진행돼 시즌 종료 후 매치 MVP에 최다 선정된 선수에게 MVP 선수상을 수여할 예정인데요. 투표는 생방송 중 KDL 팬레이스 웹페이지를 통해서만 참여 가능하니 투표 기회를 놓치지 마세요. 이제 직관을 가지 못해도 나만의 독창적인 취업풀 이미지를 공유할 수 있습니다. 온라인 취업풀 게시판에 직접 제작한 취업풀 이미지를 올리거나 마음에 드는 다른 팬의 취업풀에 좋아요를 표시할 수 있는데요. 리그 현장에서 취업풀을 만든 경우에도 직접 사진을 찍어 취업풀을 업로드할 수 있습니다. 방송일마다 게시판에 올려주신 이미지 중 주목할 만한 취업풀을 선정해 생방송에서 소개해드릴 예정인데요. 선정된 취업풀의 주인공에게는 추가 부스터와 넥슨 캐시를 드립니다. 리그 승부 예측도 보다 새로운 모습으로 돌아왔습니다. KDL 팬레이스의 승부 예측은 개막 1주차까지만 참여 가능한 시즌 예측과 각 경기 2일 전부터 참여 가능한 경기 예측으로 구성되어 있는데요. 보다 어려운 예측에 성공할 경우 더 많은 부스터를 얻을 수 있으니까요. 꼭 참여하셔서 여러분의 카자랄 능력 실컷 자랑해 보시기 바랍니다. 매주 새롭게 찾아올 주간 미션도 준비되어 있는데요. 리그의 하이라이트와 새로운 기록을 기념하는 게임 플레이 미션을 클리어하면 부스터를 획득할 수 있습니다. 주간 미션은 매주 목요일 업데이트되며 그 다음 주 수요일까지만 참여 가능합니다. 부스터를 모아 아이템을 얻었다면 이번엔 응원하는 팀에게 힘을 실어주세요. 금주의 응원팀 이벤트가 여러분을 기다리고 있는데요. 매주 응원하는 팀을 선택하고 획득한 부스터를 응원하는 팀에게 모아주시면 됩니다. 각 팀은 매주 순위에 따라 굿즈를 획득하고 획득한 굿즈는 다시 팬 여러분께 돌려드립니다. 선수들을 응원하는 또 하나의 방법이 되어줄 금주의 응원팀 이벤트, 여러분의 많은 참여 부탁드립니다. 팬레이스와 더불어 더욱 풍성하게 돌아온 KDL. 프리시즌을 마치고 이제 본격적인 출발을 앞두고 있는데요. 모두가 기다려온 KDL의 첫 정규 시즌, 팬레이스와 함께 지금 바로 달려보시죠.
If you come to my check, if my name in your mouth, better add the respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is to throw. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone, throw it off of my brain and I'm bad to the bone.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the KDL Day 1 of the regular season. I'm State still. With me is Peter still, and we're getting ready to kick off the first solo match of the regular season. And I gotta say, Peter, I could not be more hype. It's a really good lineup we have in store for you guys, even though it's just the round of 32.
Yeah, today we've been opening up with such banger of a match. And for the solo match, we have been kind of jokingly calling it the Liiv Sandbox Civil War because there's so many Liiv Sandbox players.
Yeah, but before we get into that, we have a little bit of a change here in the overview, and this looks very confusing to start, but just to TLDR it, so it's still going to be a round of 32, going all the way down to the finals, but we have one extra match called the Redemption match. So top 3 players from the round of 32 are going to advance straight to the round of 16, as opposed to 4 from the preseasons. Instead, the 4th and 5th place players from each group will go down to the Redemption match, and then those top 4 advance to the round of 16. And from there, it's just your typical round of 16 match. You go into the winners, you go into the losers, and eventually we have the best top 8 racers on the field. And for that first place prize, 10 million Korean won.
So it is essentially the same solo match format with just a redemption added to it. So you guys are going to be pretty familiar with that one. As we take a look at the track list for the solo matches, of course we have Mexico Touring Rally showing up here once again, Miami Drive, Shanghai Circuit. These are some of the tracks that stand out as the new ones.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun to play this one. And also, I just want to add, going back into that, having 5 players instead of 4 players advancing with a redemption bracket. If we ever have a real group of death in the round of 32, one of the nice things about this is whoever is the best in that group that didn't get out, they're going to follow the redemption bracket. You get one more chance. And if you really have the medal, you're going to go into the round of 16. So overall, it's a very good change. I think it's going to provide some more stability for the players. But Peter, in addition to that, we have some really cool new rules.
These rules are absolutely great, State. It is now that when a player achieves the first place in 3 consecutive rounds, they're going to straight up win the match. And what that means is before we even hit 50 points, which was the original win condition, let's say Cool, he wins round 1, 2, 3, then the game is over right there, of course, with the finals excluded.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't going to kill the hype in the solo match finals at the end of the season. Don't worry about that. And what we have listed right here, Cool, Hyunsu, NEAL, Cool again, and then Seongnam in preseason 2. These are the players that accomplished this feat. Just kind of give you an idea of how rare it is. In preseason 2, Seongnam was the only player able to win 3 times in a row.
Yeah. quite a achievement. We'll see if any player is able to make that happen here in the official season as we take a look at the round of 32 brackets. It is Group A playing today, followed by Group B, C, and D in the following weeks to come. And the reason why we called it a Liiv Sandbox Civil War is because there's NEAL, there's Daldda, and JiMin, 3 players from the Sandbox.
A lot of players from Team Sandbox coming in, and joining them is World. So a lot of these players that are already warmed up from the team match between the KWANGDONG Freaks and Liiv Sandbox are going to be going head-to-head. Now keep in mind, of course, 5 players from this group. 3 go into the round of 16, 2 go into the redemption match for a last chance effort to get to the round of 16 are going to advance. And this is a really interesting one too, because NEAL, World, and JiMin, both in preseason 1 and preseason 2, they got top 8. They made it all the way to the finals both times, but we also have a couple of rookies. We have Squad, we have Monster, we have Daldda coming in for one of his solo matches. I believe his first solo, at least in the KDL. So a bit of a mismatch there, but crazier things have happened. We may have some big upsets, but here in the yellow stripes, and of course yellow stripe, you get the first pick on the map. It's gotta be NEAL.
Yeah, that is the new rule we have. NEAL, he's saying he's going to cast the spell on World, and I believe he's saying that because he's like, oh, you know what? He's giving me Harry Potter vibes
yeah, look
right
at that.
now.
He's got a wand. Oh, NEAL is so much fun. I love you, NEAL. Never change.
And our fan agrees, saying the winner is going to be NEAL anyways.
I mean, NEAL, absolutely the favorite, in my opinion, to advance from this one. World, 3 consecutive first places? Yeah, I'll give that a go. I'll give that a try, he says, and World absolutely does have what it takes to make something like that happen. But let's keep in mind that, you know, as acclaimed as he is in ace matches, he only got 5th place in preseason 1 and 6th place in preseason 2, unless I'm mistaken. So not quite up to the ranks of a player like NEAL, who almost won both of them, got top 2 finishes 2 times in a row.
Yeah, but World is definitely a player that always manages to stay consistent. Of course, another player like Daldda, he kind of lacked in the consistency department because in preseason 2 qualifiers of solo matches, Daldda actually failed to come on stage because he lost. But this time around, he's made it here to the solo matches, so we're excited to see him play. But every single player here is running a Hover Shark and a 7-4-9-2 build.
Yeah, it's a very popular build. I think we actually might have one player that's not running 7-4-9-2, but certainly that's the wide majority of them. Is Hong going to try and come in here? He was able to compete before. He made it to the round of 32 in the previous KDL preseason, but this is today his first debut in a team match in the regular season, and now here he's going to come and try and build on some of this momentum with a berth either into the redemption match or into the round of 16.
Yeah, and he's saying survival station mode for Squad. He wants to just survive. And the players actually mentioned how previously there was like a pension mode playing style where you want to try to be the 3rd and 4th place at least every single time, but that play style doesn't work anymore. So we wonder if that survival will plan out.
Yeah, it's tough. It's very tough. You got to be consistent right from the get-go, because if someone wins the first 3 tracks, it's over. And if they win, you know, track number 2, 3, 4 in a row, that's still 3 in a row. Yep. That's still going to end it as Scarlet comes in. He says, Hong Kong, I'll advance by myself. A little bit of a friendly rivalry there, as Scarlet going to be the only player running with a 7-6-9-0. Everybody else, as Peter pointed out, with a 7-4-9-2. So a little bit of a difference there. Scarlet just favoring speed and acceleration slightly more than boost.
And I love the confidence coming out for Scarlet being a rather underdog player of this group. But JiMin, he is no underdog. Despite having been previously the item ace for Liiv Sandbox, now he's here to show that he's actually good at even solo speeds, and he's saying hello to his fellow teammates from Sandbox.
I mean, JiMin from preseason 1 really stood out for me, because before Daldda entered the fray, he was the item ace of Liiv Sandbox, and then you would watch him in solos. He got 4th place in preseason 1 solos. In preseason 2, he got top 8 again. As Monster comes in, oh man, this is spooky. Look at that. It's like a Halloween font right there, and he says, I'm gonna kill them all. Everybody's gonna come down to Monster. I like this confidence in his first ever KDL solo appearance.
Yeah.
He was eliminated in the preseason qualifiers of season 2, but this time successfully able to make it. We'll see what he can bring to the table.
Gotta say that introduction from Monster definitely suited his name, but now our players are getting ready to game on. It's time for the serious business. We're keeping an eye on who will be getting first place now in this first track of WKC Mexico Touring Rally.
And the race begins. Now keep in mind, NEAL right here highlighted in the yellow stripes. This is his map pick as the highest seeded player coming into this race. And just as Peter mentioned, a little bit of a rule change. It's not just first to 50, it's the first to 3 consecutive wins as well. Whichever comes first, that's where we're gonna end this thing and crown a victor.
And so far, it seems like World is pretty uncontested. In fact, he gets a nice block there onto Monster. He's going to be able to boop him backwards. And you can see World just really speeding off right now, not giving a draft range.
And working his way through this water feature right now as World's maintaining that first place position. But Monster Man, the rookie, coming through. He's still in top 3. NEAL able to supplant them both. Actually, he tapped right there. He brake checked World just a little bit. World lost some momentum from that. Then NEAL instantly picked the speed back up. I love that move.
Absolutely, and now JiMin's coming in to take some of that advantage for himself. World has fallen far behind JiMin. You can see him trying to get in range for the draft, but NEAL, he's barely out of the distance.
Yeah, NEAL still maintaining first place position right now. JiMin and Monster are finally back in the draft range. They're going to see if they can find an opportunity, but NEAL.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. JiMin's able to pass and go into first place, but NEAL with a little bit better nitro gauge control. He should be able to retain this unless JiMin takes a nice inner line like he just did.
Yeah, I like that aggressive line coming in from JiMin, showing that he wants to keep NEAL contested. Excellent blocks right now from JiMin, only 100 meters away from the finish line, and it is going to be JiMin coming in first place.
Man, JiMin is such a hybrid hero. It's unbelievable. I am constantly impressed with this guy. Former item ace for Team Liiv Sandbox, now a hybrid player on Liiv Sandbox who specializes both in speed and item. And he just gets another feather in his cap, man. He goes from double back-to-back top 8 performances in the KDL preseason, and now the first ever solo match of the KDL regular season, the first ever track. He's in first place, and a pretty stacked group at that too.
Absolutely, that was a great performance delivered by JiMin there, and of course NEAL, Monster, and World. They're very happy to lock in that top 4 finish at least, and now keep in mind, because it actually matters to be in 5th place, Daldda, he's also going to be happy about those little points that he's racked up.
Yeah, the redemption bracket does add a little bit more life here for these players, and you know, that could be the saving grace, especially if someone is able to win 3 tracks in a row, because you know, that kind of makes it harder to play the odds. You really have to be on your game right from the get-go if the race can end that much sooner than usual.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of pressure being added here into the solo matches in the official seasons, and we can see our player just looks so happy right now on the screen, just twiddling his fingers away.
Yeah, man, he looks content. He looks very content. He's happy with his performance. Everybody else looks a little bit more shaken up, but yeah, he is vibing as JiMin now with a victory. And track number 1, we'll be able to choose track number 2. It looks like the choice coming through, it's gonna be World Tour Terracotta Twister. Let's see if JiMin can go back-to-back and put us on a knife's edge here at track number 2 of Solo Speed.
We start off our second round of the round of 32 Group A solos in JiMin's track of choice, as we see JiMin getting a phenomenal start there. NEAL and Monster having to do quite the catch-up. Speaking of Monster, he's so far behind.
JiMin just somehow with that inner line was able to gain a lot of ground now just behind World after these collisions, zoning out Scarlet a little bit. Scarlet after that first race with 8th place sitting at -1 point, so I'd love to get a podium finish if they can. And JiMin, he is so solid in these situations. Let's see how he holds in the tomb section.
Yeah, World, he's able to take the advantage right here, and it's going to be hard for JiMin to overtake World without any risks here. And we can see the players, they all focus on their own lines, no time to be stop checking each other, and World takes the biggest advantage out of that.
Yeah, but JiMin's still right behind him, still, I think, barely at the cusp of drafting range, so there is chance for some upheaval there in first place. And NEAL, he was back at 6th or 7th rank just a moment ago, and somehow he's worked his way all the way up into top 4.
Yeah, NEAL's recovery has been insane, but Monster, I was noticing how far back he was, and it seems it was due to a keyboard issue, so we are going to have a rematch of that one, guys.
Yeah, I missed that. I was just so keyed in. I was so dialed in on what JiMin was doing that I wasn't paying attention to the bottom of the pack. But yeah, Monster's keyboard perhaps just not working exactly as NEAL's getting explained by the admin about what the issue was. And NEAL's like, oh man, I was catching up pretty well right there. I was feeling good about myself. But, you know, it's just first lap. Didn't get to cover too much ground, but JiMin just looking very solid today. That first track, just a masterclass, winning on NEAL's map choice in first place with NEAL right behind him. And even then, that very first lap, he was just in such a good position from the very beginning. JiMin just always brings it to the table in these solo matches. It astounds me how well-rounded he is, both in speed and items.
Yeah, JiMin is looking to be one of the key players of the solo match Group A so far. And honestly, it feels like Liiv Sandbox, they are looking to be the members to make it out of this in the top 5, as most players would predict, because they are showing a pretty strong performance. Also, World, he's doing a good job keeping up, making sure that he's always in that top 3 contention.
Yeah, I mean, we do have 3 rookies that are coming in with not a lot of experience. It seems like keyboard situation has been resolved, and we are ready to go back into World Tour Terracotta Twister. This is track number 2, JiMin's map choice. Can he bring home another win? Now, before the restart, JiMin had one of the better beginnings that we've seen, but this time around, it seems like NEAL coming in all the way from the outside. Everybody else was colliding, but NEAL just escaped unscathed and has a couple meters of a lead as a result of that.
Yeah, and Scarlet, he crashed into the wall there in a pretty crazy fashion, so he's going to fall all the way to 8th off of that one. Now, so much room has been bought for JiMin and Hong to try to catch up to NEAL.
Yeah, JiMin doing a nice recovery there. It wasn't the fantastic start that he had previously, but still top 3 in contention with NEAL pulling away from the pack, entering this tomb area. Now we'll see the lines that these players go for. I think in this situation where you just want top 5 to solidify your spot, at least in getting into the redemption bracket, you don't want to take too many risks. So everyone playing quite conservatively there.
Yeah, but JiMin, he manages to take that first place back for himself. Now Hong trying to get into draft range, but I feel like JiMin, his lines are just so on point here in Terracotta Twister.
I mean, talking about lines though, the way that NEAL just threaded the NEAL between multiple players to work his way all the way up into first place, and now is zoning out World, is just pretty incredible, and he's going to be back in the first place as a result of this. Some fantastic reads by NEAL, one of the best solo match players of all time, globally and within Korea.
Yeah, right now it's a lot of fierce battle happening. World, NEAL, and JiMin all trying to be that first racer, but it's so hard. But now, as we enter the Terracotta section, the tomb, it's going to really start building that lead for the person that wants to be first place.
And you can see JiMin and NEAL both fighting neck and neck. They both want to be the one to pass World, and JiMin eventually is going to get the better trade. Looking at the Nitros gauge with only 500 meters left to go. Very even.
Oh my goodness, World!
Yeah, big collision right there. JiMin's going to lose a lot of ground, fall all the way down to the 4th place, and actually it's Hong coming through unscathed after all of that conundrum. All those collisions happening in the final stretch. It's going to be Hong who works his way up. A tremendous job done by him, skirting disaster there and striking when the opportunity was best.
I kept my eyes on JiMin throughout most of the race because I know JiMin, based on his playstyle, it really seemed like he wanted to close out the solo match early today by taking 3 consecutive wins, but that check from World on JiMin there absolutely murdered him, and Hong saw the opportunity, the room he needed to take this first place.
Yeah, very well played there by Hong. As we take a look at the standings, JiMin and NEAL both tied right now in first place, Hong in 3rd. World and Monster rounding out the top 5, and that is the cutoff now in the new round of 32 format, with 4th and 5th place going into that redemption match. So a lot of eyes on that cutoff right now in 5th.
Yep, seems like NEAL, however, is just playing out of his mind today because no matter how far behind he is, he always makes it back into the top rank. So he's looking to be a strong contender as now we move on to track number 3, chosen by Hong in Village Boom Hill Tunnel. And we begin our round 3 of round of 32 Group A solos. And so far we are seeing World Squad and Monster all taking long lines here, especially Monster there.
I feel a little bit bad for Hong. It's his map choice, but he gets the short stick drawn all the way down in 8th place at the beginning of this one lapper. So he will have his work cut out for him here. As World right now once again retaining top 1. JiMin with some big collisions, but he's bouncing off players that are right behind him, so not losing too much momentum, just trying to really fight his way all the way back into the first place. And now in the interview before this match, NEAL was talking about how it's a lot more chaotic, these solo matches. There are a lot more collisions because your nitrous gauge is not depleted anymore in these fights. It's just fighting from start to finish. And that is exactly what we're seeing right now. Look at all these collisions non-stop from position 3 to position 8.
Yeah, that is a great point, State. And World, it feels like he's the benefactor from all these fights happening behind because no one's around to try to contest a draft range. All World needs to do is focus on his own line, not make a mistake here on a jump like this.
Yeah, so World is absolutely the benefactor of all the chaos that was unfolding behind him with only 300 meters left to go. I do not think that World is going to be passed, although Monster is going to make a try for it. For his credit, he will get 2nd place, and man, that was an absolute battle. From the beginning all the way to the end, nobody retired as Daldda, I think, barely crossed the finish line right there at 8th. But my goodness, I was watching on the monitor. It wasn't on the main screen, but I was just like, wait a second, somebody is still racing. On the casting monitor, yeah, Daldda able to finish. World with 1st place is going to add 10 points to his total. I think that brings him up to 19 and potentially in 1st place overall. We'll have to see.
Yep, I mean, World, he's picked up 10 points off that.
There we
him
go.
At 19 points, a point above NEAL, and you can see that the top 5 is really solidifying right now. Monster is 5 points ahead of Squad, and it feels like if our players in the bottom 3 don't step it up right now, they might fall farther and farther behind.
Yeah, I feel like this is a relatively hard meta to come into with all this fighting because the nitrous gauge doesn't immediately deplete upon collision, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot more fighting that happens in the solo match, and Daldda, he does seem to be struggling a little bit right now, sitting at 8th place. If FREECS SANDBOX wants to emerge victorious right now with all 3 players advancing, he's going to have to step it up. As we move on to the next track, it's going to be Mine Winding Slopes. And off we go. My eyes are going to be on Daldda in this one, as hopefully he will be able to change his fortunes here. But hold that thought, as JiMin off to a really banger start right here. It's him and World. We're looking to try and get 2 wins in a row, but JiMin just in a tremendous spot right now in 1st place.
Yeah, but it's definitely scary when you have World up in the front like that, because I feel like World is just going to wait patiently, look for these body blocks that he's been doing so well throughout this whole solos.
Daldda's had a big collision, just ricocheting off multiple walls and falls all the way down to 7th place after a respectable start. And now JiMin coming through the shortcut.
Oh, another one.
Yeah, that was a scary moment there with World, but JiMin seems like he got the better end of the stick.
Yeah, and it seems like Hong also took a pretty big collision for himself. He's completely out of contention right now. It's JiMin, World, and NEAL in the top 3.
I feel like these collisions are just results of the nitrous gauge not getting depleted as much when you have collisions, right?
Yeah.
And that just leads to a little bit more chaos and a little bit more mistakes when it's a free-for-all, when it's every man for himself. And now it's JiMin, NEAL, and World battling for top 3. Oh, NEAL styling on it, man. That was a beautiful 360 spin. Will he be able to gain enough nitrous gauge to actually pass JiMin? I think JiMin might be looking at his 2nd W of the night.
Oh my God, NEAL
comes through with unbelievable speed. The genius at work. I mean, calm, cool, and collected as always. You look at the player cam after that win, and he's just like, yeah, I knew I had that one. It's no big deal. I do this all the time. He's so cool.
It is definitely calmer than you would expect from a player who just made a crazy outplay near the end.
Oh, okay, he's smiling a little bit now. He's like, I'm casting my smell back on you again, World.
Yeah, the Harry Potter is here to play. NEAL, after taking that 10-point victory for himself, he's going to put a significant advantage now for himself at 28 points. So he's only 22 points away from 50.
I feel like NEAL, JiMin, and World have pretty much locked their spot in.
Yep.
I think if they're going to get unseated, this is going to have to go really long. Those top 3 racers are not going to have to place very high. We're going to need to play a couple more tracks for these players in the middle ranks to actually close them out in the top 3. So for a lot of these other racers now, you're looking at position 4 and position 5 to try and find a seed into the redemption bracket as the map choice comes in. NEAL is going to choose Factory Facility 5 for the next track. Let's get going.
Here we go into round number 5 of round of 32 Group A solos. NEAL is completely in his own world right now, boosting up uncontested, showing why he picked up this track for himself. Meanwhile, you got to keep in mind that Daldda, the member from FREECS SANDBOX, he is really struggling right now in the group standing, so he needs to pick up some of the higher placements here.
He's not too far off top 5, but he definitely does have to start making some plays. And I feel like it's really the collisions that are hurting him the most. Is if you look at his starts, they're often very respectable. He's in the middle of the pack, potentially in striking position. But oftentimes these collisions, especially on these clustered turns, they come through, and Daldda is just ricocheting off walls and losing a ton of momentum. But I love what he's bringing to the table right now, getting very close to top 4. But NEAL, as you said, in just a class of his own, all the way in first place right now. This one lapper takes that shortcut beautifully.
Yeah, such a nice line from NEAL there, not giving up any advantage. And you can see right now, he's just trying to play time trial mode all by himself. You can see Hong, JiMin squad, they're all crashing into the wall, and this just helps out NEAL more.
I feel like NEAL basically has this one on lock unless he makes a mistake. With only 500 meters left to go, it's really a race to see who's going to join him on the podium, as NEAL on this straightaway is going to get his 2nd win in a row. Squad and Hong rounding out the top 3. JiMin right behind them in top 4. Daldda there in 5th place.
Oh my goodness, you got to keep in mind though that World, he finished 8th place in the overall group standings. He does have 24 points, however, so he's not going to fall out of top 5 off that, but the gap has been closed for 3rd place.
Especially with Hong, who was in 4th coming into this one, getting a top 3 performance. It's a lot of score. World's going to lose 1 point. Hong's going to go up 5. And let's also keep in mind, Peter, that's NEAL's 2nd win in a row.
Yeah, one more and it's over. Before we even get 50.
It would be a little bit less climactic because he's at 38 points, and if you win another one, it's at 48. It's like, okay, we saved 2 points. All right, guys. But still, it would be sick. Yeah, the opening day of the regular season to have NEAL win 3 in a row and send us home a little bit early, just 1 track early. So for everybody here in the lobby right now, with the way that NEAL is racing, you got to think this might be the last track. What do I have to do? What placement do I have to get? Who do I have to try to slow down and take advantage of to unseat them and secure a top 5 finish? And if you're above top 5, how do you get into the top 3 to avoid the redemption match? What's it going to be? What's the game plan? Do you take a greedier line? Do you take a safer line? Do you try and body block somebody that's potentially contesting you? You can see all these players right now, they're very deep in thought, trying to come up with exactly what the game plan should be. But time is now. Will NEAL win 3 maps in a row and send us home early? Let's find out on Glacier Extreme Stadium. NEAL, JiMin, and World, the 3 racers right now with more than 20 points, but top 5 is the cutoff for elimination. 6th, 7th, 8th, they are out. And 4th and 5th, they're going to redemption. Top 3, they're going to the top 16, but NEAL, he is not having the best start yet, Peter.
Yeah, you can see right now NEAL, his 2-win streak is being highlighted by our producers, and the heart rates, you can see it right now for the players as well, because if NEAL wins it, that would be a crushing defeat for our other players who have not made it to the top 5 yet. But fortunately, NEAL is in 6th place for the other players.
You say that, but I have seen NEAL work wonders before. I would not be surprised to see him move up a couple of ranks here in these hairpin turns and then do even more later on in the track as we come through. Monster right now holding on to the rank 1 spot, but does get unseated there by Squad, and NEAL already in top 3. And he is potentially moving his way up into position 1 again. I don't know how he does it. This man is a genius.
And he manages to thread the needle right there, completely passes by Monster. Now he's winning against Squad once again, going for the inner line, and it pays off. Finally, Monster, he's able to find the draft timing and come in for a punch of his own.
Monster right now is in 6th place, so this is a very important race for him. If NEAL wins this one, Monster's gonna have to go all the way up against the ropes and hope that he has enough points to crest that top 5, and NEAL somehow, from a dismal start coming into this hairpin turn, is in 1st place. It's the home stretch, Peter.
And we see World, he's doing all he can to try to catch up, and he does manage to bypass Monster. Now it's NEAL versus World, and World with the crazy inner.
NEAL does have double nitrous, though. We'll see if he can pull something off here with a draft, but it does seem like World is going to be able to force at least one more track in. Yes, indeed, he does. World picks up 10 more points, gonna move all the way up to 33, and NEAL will not send us home with 3 wins in a row, although he came very close.
It was super close. Man, I love World's victory animation.
Yeah, it's sick. The animations are so cool. The production has really stepped up here at the KDL for the regular season. They are pulling out all the stops, and what a race it has been. Squad coming up pretty big. Daldda with a respectable performance there in top 5. Hong as well right now, who's tied in 4th place. A little bit scary, only gaining 1 point.
That is not good for Hong because he was trying to stay ahead of Monster. Fortunately, Monster did get -1 point. So now Daldda is the new contender trying to beat Hong out of that 5th place.
NEAL, World, and JiMin, that went by pretty quickly, but I'm pretty sure they all have above 30, so they should be the locks, assuming this is the last track. They should all be locks, barring some incredible outcome, to go straight into the round of 16.
Yep.
The important thing behind them is ranks 4 and 5. There's a lot more commotion, a lot more cluster. It's potentially going to be one of these players coming through with an upset, whether it be Daldda or Monster, who are less than 7 points behind Hong right now, sitting in 5th place. Peter, it might all come down to this. Forest Zigzag Timberland with multiple racers very close to ending this one. Let's get to it.
We bring to you live the round 7 of solos. NEAL currently sitting at 45 points. That means he needs to finish 3rd place or higher to end off this race.
Yeah, World and JiMin also very close. If they get a win here, we might only have 1 more track considering how well they're performing. But look at this. Some of the rookies, some of the young upstarts off to a nice performance here. We have Monster and Hong in 1st place. Squad right behind them, Scarlet as well. All the top racers for a moment there were sitting at the bottom of the pack.
This is going pretty crazy right now. NEAL, once again, he's making that recovery run that we've seen him do in the previous match. If NEAL gets into that top 3, it spells disaster for some of these players.
For Daldda right now, holding on to 1st place, this is critical. He's sitting at only 12 points. Hong ahead of him is at 17. So Daldda, he wants to vie for a podium finish, get at least top 3 or maybe a top 4, but this is a very dangerous trek to come through. Terracotta, or Zigzag Timberland, excuse me, one of the most congested tracks and races like this one. So many collisions, so many tight turns, but Daldda, through all of it, is maintaining position 1.
Wow, and I saw NEAL, he's got blocked out by so many players there, but he was able to thread the needle once again, get up into 2nd place, now even trying to contest Daldda for 1st. NEAL is crazy today.
Yeah, NEAL is getting very close to potentially ending this one, even working his way all the way up into 1st place. Peter, I believe you said a top 3 finisher for NEAL will send us all home and lock in the standings, and that looks like it might be in the cards.
Yeah, NEAL's just styling at this point. He just wants to rack up the wins because NEAL is a first place, a first-class racer. Now World comes in to try to kick NEAL out of that first place, but NEAL does have a good distance right now.
Daldda right now in 3rd place. He wants to close the distance as best he can. If he can't get first, then at least get 2nd place, get some more points, and try to make your way into that redemption bracket. Right now he's sitting happy in the top 3, but Scarlet is right behind him.
And keep in mind, Daldda, he's fighting for that 5th place spot from Hong. Hong is sitting in 5th right now, so this is going to be an extremely close ending.
Yeah, NEAL and Daldda right now, top 2. If Daldda can retain rank number 2 and Hong doesn't move out the ranks too much, he might be able to get close. And NEAL, I think he's going to be sending us home, Peter. It looks like another win for the global superstar. And that's going to be 55 points on the board. That's going to lock in the standings. And soon we will see exactly where this thing closes out. NEAL with another superstar performance, absolutely stellar, was 1 map win away from sending us home with the first ever 3 consecutive victory closeout. Instead, he gets what? A podium finish and then wins the next track? He's just unbelievable.
Yeah, today was a NEAL day here in Solos Group A. And although Daldda, he managed to finish 2nd, he didn't get enough points to overtake Hong. So Hong is going to lock in that 5th place finish for himself. It's NEAL, JiMin, and World moving on to the round of 16. Squad and Hong moving on to the redemption match.
So close there for Daldda, the item ace. Trying to come in and do his best, but still a very respectable performance. This is a very stacked group. I mean, NEAL, JiMin, and World, top 8 racers. Undoubtedly, when it comes to solos, they both made the final match. You know, both preseasons, they are just insane. If this isn't the group of death, I don't know what it is. And we have, of course, the 3 best players advancing straight in to the round of 16.
A big congratulations to our players, NEAL, JiMin, and World. It was such a well-deserved victory. NEAL, he's managed to pick up 3 first-place finishes in this Group A alone. He was actually offset by World in Extreme Stadium. If not for that, NEAL might have even got 3 wins consecutively. So it was such a crazy performance that we've seen out of this Group A. The players that have proven to be solo match legends, once again showing why they have that reputation.
Yeah, but some of the rookies coming up big. Squad, this is his first solo appearance in the KDL. He wasn't able to make it into preseason 1 or preseason 2, but he comes in and he made it his way to the redemption bracket. He has a good chance of advancing into the round of 16 should he succeed there. And Hong as well. You know, he made his team debut today, and he also got a top 5 in the solos. That's a very fantastic day for him. He's got to be feeling really happy.
We were actually talking about earlier, State, how Hong actually stood out to us already on his first debut match. He was providing so much for his team, and as you said, even in the solos against such top-tier opponents, he was able to secure himself that redemption match spot, only 2 points away from Daldda.
I mean, if he can continue to perform at the level that he has performed today, I mean, today he's got to be one of the most jittery days of his life, or at least his competitive life, right? Coming in for your team debut, and then later in the day you have a solo match where it's do or die. If you bottom out on the group, you're going home. But he makes it to the redemption match, and if he can continue to give performances like this one, he might really be a player to look out for this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And Squad just kind of silently cruising by, making sure that he's always racking up enough points to guarantee himself that redemption match spot was great as well. So we got to give him some shout out. Unfortunately, it was Daldda, Monster, and Scarlet that failed to make it into that top 5, especially for Scarlet. He had only 2 points. It was a rough day for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's very tough. It's very tough. But hey, at least 5 players are advancing from each group. It makes it a little bit more interesting here in the solo matches.
Yeah.
I think if my brain is working right, I believe that means we get at least 1 more day of solos, because the redemption, we have to do the redemption, right?
Yeah.
So I'm always a fan of solo matches here in the KDL, and that makes me very happy that we're going to have, you know, a couple more players getting a second chance to make it to the round of 16 as we take a look now at the results from the first day, the debut day of the KDL regular season. And Peter, it was a pleasure casting this with you. It was so much fun. KWANGDONG FREECS winning 3-2 and 3, 3-2 in speed, 3-2 an item over Liiv Sandbox. A really stellar match. If you tuned in late and you missed it, I recommend you go back and watch, as it was an absolute nail biter. These two teams, I guarantee you this is not the last time they're going to meet this season. They will absolutely be facing off in the playoffs.
This is definitely the biggest rivalry of all rivalries here in the kart rider history, and today was Guangdong Freaks once again coming out ahead of Liiv Sandbox. No ace match was played there. And the next match that we've had between ROX Esports and Finale, where they're kind of forming a new storyline with each other, kind of a form of rivalry, you can say.
Yeah.
But it was ROX Esports today, winning out in Speed 3-1. They lost item a bit hard, 0-3, but in ace match, they were able to pull it back off the performance of Looney.
I think there was only really one track in item mode that was especially close in that one. Besides that, it was just Finale playing very well through and through in item mode to be able to deliver that win 3-0 in the set. But of course, ROX Esports, their new speed ace coming in, the former speed ace of Team Aura, Looney, as you said, coming through in the clutch when it mattered the most. And ROX Esports going to be victorious here. The new ROX versus the old ROX.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks for Finale that they're being called Old ROX instead of Finale.
And then they lose to ROX in their first match. But you know what? Both of these teams played very well. And of course, with the expanded playoffs here in the regular season, instead of the top 4 teams advancing, we're going to have 4th and 5th playing a wild card match later on in the year. And so, you know, every single win matters. Every track win matters as we look here at the round of 32 bracket. Of course, NEAL, World, and JiMin in a league of their own, all 3 of them booking their ticket directly into the round of 16, and Hong and Squad making their way onto the redemption match.
Yeah, and next week on Saturday, Group B will be playing. We have Hero, Navi, Pung, Acidfly, Seongbin. And as I just go down this list, all the names just stand out to me as players I've seen really perform well in the team matches. So we're so excited to bring you guys more solos.
Yeah, the team matches here on Wednesday. It's going to be Nutmine versus Desperado. 2 teams making their debut here in the KDL. Liiv Sandbox will go on and fight again against Finale Esports, and Mirai Sejong against Team Always. A lot of new faces, a lot of, well, not necessarily new faces, but you know, old faces coming together in new teams and new complex puzzles to try and mesh together and build that chemistry and become champions. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, these matchups are definitely looking to have some key points there, like Nutmine versus Desperado. I don't think either of these amateur teams really want to drop a game here. Liiv Sandbox and Finale, they both feel like strong teams that have a lot to offer. And Mirai and Sejong, this is the team that's just the most hyped up right now because they've had such a stellar performance in the event match, and they must not drop a game against Always, a completely rookie team, if they want to keep that hype going.
Yeah, Mirai and Sejong is one of the teams that is absolutely going to be one to look out for. They can make their way to the finals this postseason right now. You know, the skill that they have on paper is really incredible. And really, what a great start to KDL regular season day 1. I mean, the matches were fantastic. Item mode feels so much better. It feels like so much more fun. The new maps are great. The expanded playoffs are great. Just everything is coming up, KDL. It's, I got like nerd chills, man. It's fantastic.
That's what the pre-seasons were for, right? We were building up to this moment, and it's such a pleasure to kind of witness this history in the making of Kart Rider with all the players and the fans. Thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, it's so much fun, man. KDL is just going to keep getting better. The meta is going to evolve. We're going to see how these players start to use those new items like the super banana, that really big banana that we didn't get to see yet today, but I'm hoping we'll see on Wednesday or Saturday. Fingers crossed. It's going to be a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, I mean, with 3 team matches being a thing on the Wednesdays, you have to assume you got to see the big bananas, right?
We got to see the big banana. How do we not see the big banana with 3 team matches? You know, maybe everybody vetoes the 3-star maps, but I don't think so. We had a lot of 3-star maps played today so far here in item mode.
Yeah, it was a pretty nice mix, a balance.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for us today. We'll see you again on Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good night.
mouth, better add the respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is to throw. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone, throw it off of my brain and I'm bad to the bone.
Just feel alive.